welcome everyone to episode 18 of the Path of Exile community podcast, FATED Connections, as always hosted by the wonderful Balor Mage and myself. And today we're going to be joined by Ghazzy, who you all should know as a longtime Path of Exile content creator, one of the first players to take down Uber Ziri on a Summoner build, and still one of the guys with the most up-to-date build guides on the forum. And we're going to be joined by someone whose face you probably haven't seen around. This is LeRoy on top there, and he's joining us from the last Epoch dev team. He's an avid Path of Exile player himself, just like probably all the guys on the last Epoch dev team, what I heard. And probably I just hand off the mic over to you. So before I say anything wrong, just introduce yourself. Tell us what your role is and what you guys are doing. We'll give you an extended time to talk about what you're currently working on, but just so that we know, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm LeRoy. Most of you guys know me as LeRoy. First name's Rob, but that's okay. I was born at a very young age. And fast forward, now I'm making music on the 11th Hour Games team for Last Epoch, so I'm the composer. I do everything from my home office here. I do all of this sort of stuff, the streamer interactions. I go out and talk to people. I do some of the schmoozing. And I'm part owner on the company as well. So I have a heavy hand in a lot of design, skill trees, end game stuff, just the everyday aspects of, how the company goes. And I travel and set up our conventions as well.
I have to cut in there. Did you say that you were born at an early age?
Yes.
Okay. I just had to hear that one more
See if
time.
I could slip that under the radar there.
No, not quite.
So at which age were you born, Ghazzy?
Oh, similar to LeRoy, I was actually also born at a really early age.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Quite young at the time.
Surprise. But yeah, no, what I've been up to lately, not much, actually, not enough. I've been reworking some plans for what I'm going to do with my stream. That's basically what I've been doing. And nothing I've been announcing yet. I can announce it and talk about some of the major changes that I'll be doing on this show.
Announce it later. Keep something to build up tension to so the people stay around. You're gonna be the big Ghazzy announcement at the end of the stream, right?
Yeah, we can do that at the end of the stream. Basically, so I've been looking into ways of sorting that. Fixed my sleeping schedule for the 100th time. Let's see if I can keep it this time. And playing Path of Exile and some Dota actually on the side. And that's basically it. It's just been going ham. But we're going to talk about the reasoning for that later, I reckon.
Well, we start at the start. We'll start with Legion and everything. But first, Balor, fill us in. I haven't been able to follow your streams much lately. I've hosted you here and there and said hi, but what have you been actually up to?
Well, I went back to hardcore this league, so I've died, I want to say 7 times on like proper 90+-ish characters now. I'd have to double check. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 6 of them are to Legion, and 1 was to Ellie Reflect. We'll just forget that happened. Other than that, just trying as many different builds as I can every time I'm forced to from deaths, and I got my first Uber Elder hardcore kill this league, because I'd never actually managed to kill it in hardcore before. So that was good, and now I've killed it like 6 times or something. But I respec'd over to a Herald of Agony Jug, so now it's kind of just stupidly easy. Agony? Yeah, that's not what I got the first kill on. I got the first kill on like my own build that was shit and only doing like 120,000 deeps, and it was very dodgy. But immediately after that, I was like, yep, can't farm it on that. Did it, it's done. I'm just going to make a Herald of Agony Jug, and now it's very
Was that on the Cycloner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was very dodgy. But
fair enough.
Yeah, other than that, going pretty hard on YouTube, but just putting out as many of those videos as I can, and that's it. I haven't touched another game since Legion launched.
That's amazing. Yeah, I also feel like myself drawn more to the game. But what I'm curious about before I tell you guys what I've been up to, LeRoy, how much do you actually get to play Path of Exile next to your probably very tight schedule?
I think I hit a character at 92 and I got one to 88, and then that's okay. I got to play around with the melee enough to get an educated understanding about what was going on. I spend more time watching you guys play than I actually get to play.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, I imagine 1 or 2 characters a league is what a lot of people make it to, though. Like a lot of people that have jobs and stuff that isn't, I get to play video games for a living. I know a lot of people who make just 1 or 2 characters the entire league, and that's all the time they get.
I mean,
so
if
that's
you're not
probably
racing,
a more standard experience, to be honest.
If you're not racing, level 92 takes quite a while, right?
It does.
And I try and go really fast. Like I ripped it like 40. I tried hardcore and then realized I couldn't with all the crashing, but I ripped it 48 in the top 100. I was like,
People usually set up, depending on the approximate time they have, to set up goals, what to do. Most of us streamers that spend too much time in there, like we have a lot of goals, or sometimes we don't. We just go play. But like some of the friends I have that play, they set up a thing they want to do, and then they try to do that with the time they have. And when they're done, they just leave it if they're done before. Like Bala made you hit Uber Elder on hardcore. That's pretty impressive. But what I'm most impressive with is you being able to put up with Legion since launch and not playing any other games. That's even more impressive, in my opinion.
I love it,
crazy.
Man.
It's insane.
It's fantastic.
Kudos. Good on you, man. It's just crazy.
Legion has killed me every time. That's what a really experienced player should die to all the time. The new league mechanic. And it's what's getting me all the time.
That's where you notice that I'm a noob, because I played I think I died 10 times in total this league, and I think 1 or 2 deaths were to Legion. The rest was all personal failures.
Oof.
1 DD, 1 Syndicate, 1 random blue pack. We had a healthy mix, but it's all deaths where in retrospective I can actually say, and that's a YouTube video I'm going to make, because a lot of people have been talking about the state of hardcore and is it really worth to play. And I think you said that also, LeRoy, with all the crashes and stuff. Is it really worth to play hardcore? And I have to say, I didn't really die to anything but my own mistakes, except for that logout timer, right? When I was still using the force disconnect macro, I died to packet loss 2 or 3 times. But since I bound /exit to my logout key, no problem. It takes a little bit longer to be out, but it's safe. You're out.
Yep. And
I just didn't have time to make new characters. My video card kind of crapped out too, so I have a new one. I might maybe next league try it again and see if that's better. I had a 6-year-old video card and it just wasn't holding up to it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you're trying to go fast, then a death is also really painful in hard softcore, especially past level 90. You're losing a solid amount of time, especially if you don't have a lot of time to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically we're already touching upon the Legion League. What do you guys like? Can each of you name one upside and one downside to the design of Legion? Let's start with the turbo round. Ghazzy, you were already critical. What do you like about Legion, and what is it that makes you frustrated where you say, I can't play this for 3 months?
For me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I zoned out because I spilled energy drink all over my
You were able to conceal that. I was
smiling. Then I noticed on the stream that part of my shirt is not visible, so that's good. It's completely zoned out. I think that the best part about Legion is accessibility of mindless content. And I say that's a good thing because a lot of people that play this game the majority of the player base are casual players, right? We know that. People that have a job or people that just plays every now and then, right? And that's that kind of mindless play where they can come home from work and shut off their brain, grind some things that they know are guaranteed to be profitable is a good thing for the community. Now I have opinions about that being a little bit too excessive and being the best thing, completely, making everything else completely useful is another thing. But I think that's the best part about Legion. And the worst part about it is that it lasts 3 months. That's it.
Well, that's not really specific to Legion, but I'll let it count in your case. So, LeRoy, what do you think?
I like the accessibility of it. Just especially for like solo self-found players, being able to go just walk into any map and get all of that extra, I don't want to say content, but the extra XP, extra items that dropped. That was a really good move. It felt like Breach 2.0, and Breach was my favorite league. It's the league I really started playing Path of Exile the most. And so this felt very like close to that. And so that was nice. The density was good. I enjoyed the mob density as well. It felt so great to just explode everything all at once. Some of the downsides, I think, were just quality of life on launch. Like I never knew when there was a general, and then I'd like clear, most of it, and then find a general, and there's like 5 seconds left. I'm like, yep, that's not going to happen. And so I wish there had been more like indicators that a general was going to be in there. And just they ended up doing a lot of the quality of life stuff. I just kind of wish it had been in there before I had stopped playing the league, I think.
If I can be honest, I completely agree with that downside. They did add indicators to when there is a general in the Legion. To this point, to this day, I haven't seen any. I don't realize them. I don't see them. They're very subliminal.
Because you
and
have
I just
to wait around.
they don't appear
before
inside.
you click it. No, they
Oh,
won't
right.
from the start.
Right.
No,
They're
have to
only
wait
when they
until after.
spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to wait till they pop. So instead of running to an edge to clear as much as possible, going to an edge and then clear all the way to the other side, which is what you usually do, you have to wait
stick
till they
around
pop,
there.
and then you see the stream.
Which isn't
Like,
worth
I've
it,
never
so you
tried.
just don't do it.
I didn't realize till some guy in the streams told me once, and then I put it in one of my videos. Like, by the way, don't run. it's not that scary.
But you lose in the instance where there is a general spawn and you see it. That's great. Now you get it, but that only happens 1 out of every 8 times or so. And so in the other 7 times, you miss like a third of your clearing time. And if you're not on basically ED Contagion or Val Ice Nova, you need that time to get around because the army is huge. And
But
so
then
you
again-
lose a third of the army waiting.
I mean, I guess, but then again, every 8th run is every 3rd minute in Glacier. So I mean, that's pretty goddamn accurate, to be honest.
Yeah, I only
That's
managed
bad.
to spend like 2 or 3 days in Glacier. I
Days.
I was like,
spend 2 or 3
I was
maps.
like, nah, that's enough. See you.
No. I did it for. I think I did it for like an hour or 2, and then I was like, "That this is not what I enjoyed about Path of Exile. It just felt too much like Warframe for me, grind fest and shit."
See, I love the grind. The grind stuff
Yeah.
is fun. That's why I've liked Legion so much. That's why I'm fine with it being like it hasn't bothered me. It could have used a bit more end game stuff. Like that's its biggest down part is that to me its biggest downside is that Headhunter works in the 5-way fight. If it did not,
Then it would be the fact that Headhunter
would
works
be
both on the shells and the mods.
Yeah, but if it didn't, then that 5-way fight would be an entirely different thing. It would now be boss killing builds, trying to kill these 86 bosses as quick as possible, because your tornado shot bloody Deadeye with 3,200 life and 1 billion damage can't live through those bosses without 60 stacks of buffs. So it would end up being people who can effectively clear bosses quickly, running bosses trying to get jewels, not running as many rare mobs as they could, just trying to get generic loot with 70 stacks of Headhunter buffs. And then it would have been at least some sort of a bossing encounter that was at the end, rather than just a massive clear speed thing. And on top of that, if you were doing it that way, you could have made those bosses in there harder than they are and more rewarding to kill, so that the focus was on killing the bosses in the time you were allowed as many times as possible, rather than just clearing the map.
Because I mean, if let's say Inspired Learning Headhunter was not functional in there, and nothing else was changed, it would still be either Cyclone builds, Tornado Shot builds, or there's a few other options, but those would be the major ones, and they would still pop the bosses real fast without the buffs. It's just that you wouldn't go with red shit and whatnot. You go with actual damage. You wouldn't get that many rows of rewards, but it would still be a massive clear speed thingy grind over it, which again would only be accessible in a profitable way for the people that have tons of gear. Because that's my biggest issue with the endgame fight. Instead of having a set loot table as the Breaches, which had a similar idea of Legion, which is why a lot of people mainly like Breach, because it's very similar to Legion, because it's very similar to Breach, where you are able to go in and fight the Breach on the maps as a generic mindless clearing, and you pick up the shards or the splinters and you move away. And then when you have accumulated enough splinters, you're able to fight the boss, right? That's basically the same idea as Legion. I'm mixing it up. But when you go into Breachstone, you do the same thing. You do the map clearing, which you don't need a mega super heavy geared character, not even the pure Breachstones, to be able to reach the boss in time. You just need to be able to do enough damage and be decently fast, which is accessible by a lot of different builds. A lot of meta builds will be able to do it. And then you land at the boss. Now, this boss is in a separate room and is actually a boss fight, not a randomly a slightly more annoying rare. It's an actual boss fight. And you can do it with most builds, but some of the pure Breachstone bosses like Chiula can be somewhat more difficult for builds, and therefore you might want to have more of a boss-oriented design of your character, especially if you don't have a lot of currency, but it's still accessible to it. The reward base of Breachstones is set on a set loot table, which makes Breachstones have a pre-designed value or reward per investment for each stone you run. That's set in stone. Whereas if you start going into a situation where you talk about legions, for example, instead of having a set reward per stone that you have access to if you manage to finish it, you instead have a reward based of how good or how well geared your own character is, because it's all oriented around clear speed. Now, we already have you being able to access more splinters by having a better character, and that's fine. That's the same thing in Breach. But in Legion, you're in a situation where you're actually directly profiting or getting more rewards based off being better geared. So that means that the prices for these endgame accessible items, such as the emblems in this case, goes up in value to the point where people that don't have the gear can't run them profitably, which means that they can only access this type of content if they want to do it for the fun rather than doing it because it's something that is challenging and profiting for them. So they have to either sell them to make bank to be able to get the gear that is increasingly going up in value because of that being profitable. I mean, it's just a downward spiral, in my opinion, which is really, really annoying, in my opinion. That's my take on the Breach. And Legion, fuck.
Breach.
Stream can't hear you, apparently.
I'm an idiot.
Oh no!
So
We could hear.
So thank you for the detailed explanation, Ghazzy. I was muting myself because I was typing
From the top,
earlier.
let's go again.
Guys, what Ghazzy was saying is that Headhunter was already the ultimate clear speed chase unique and the best unique in the game because it allowed you to generate more currency per hour than anything else. But now on top of that, you get actually more out of your investment because you get more per Legion emblem, because you get to clear more in the same amount of time than any other build that doesn't use this momentum-based scaling that is not available elsewhere in the game to that extent. Headhunter is the only item with that power level in the game.
But then again, it's also a situation where even without the Headhunter, if the design would remain the same and they would make Headhunter Inspired Learning not work, the exact same situation would still be there. You're still being rewarded based on how good your character is at clearing as fast as possible, which means the better gear you are, the more rewards you get for the same investment as a new player wanting to try out this new mechanic content available. It's similar to the high-end crafting and synthesis. It's just completely locking it out for new players and people that don't invest enough time. Now, I think that for synthesis, that's a bit different because it was still accessible to some degree, whereas that's more about crafting, and there was a lot of content accessible for the players. Whereas in Legion, we're talking about locking away, completely negating that content for those players. Because it takes time. I don't think I've hit 100 Market Splinters because I refuse to do glaciers. So I got them from friends that I've been running with, or I've been buying them when I've been doing them. And buying them is very expensive because they are profitable. So they go up in value so that it's not, so that people that farm them makes more currency because the ones that are running them are making even more. Now, that's the problem for me. That even without a Headhunter, that would still be an issue. It wouldn't be as extreme, I reckon, but it would still be an issue.
Yeah, but that's like the only difference that would have to be made there is that if you just get rid of the focus on rares in that encounter and focus on bosses, then you're in a different situation. I like rewarding stronger, better characters more. That makes sense. It's the extremity that's the problem. If the bosses in there were harder and they were the focus and that was where most of the loot came from and not the rares, you'd be looking at good bossing builds, not clear speed builds.
Yeah, and bossing builds can be done cheap, much cheaper.
Yeah, you can make a decent bossing build on 1/10 of the budget, and then that would be the focus, and that would have been the end game, and that would have made me a lot happier. If it was, because then you would need clear speed in maps to get as many splinters as possible, and then you would need bossing potential in the domain of timeless conflict to get those done, and then I would be very, very happy with it. That's really its only downside, is that it didn't really have bossing. But I also think they knew that going in. Like, I don't think there was any illusion. They literally gave us a clear speed thing. They said on Bayclast, I think it was, they were like, yeah, this is like the ultimate clear speed. There's just going to be stuff everywhere. There's even going to be so much stuff it's going to lag. Like, I think it was the idea, and I think they hit exactly what they wanted. And I've got this secret hope in my head that's not secret at all, because I keep telling people it, that they did this intentionally so that enough people would get annoyed at Headhunter, so that when they do something about Headhunter, less people get upset about it.
Down with Headhunter. I'm with you.
I think
Really?
that the whole thing is planned so that they can nerf Headhunter, and more people will be happy about it.
I think Headhunter in its earlier stages wasn't bad, but as the power creep has progressed with the game, the Headhunter is just out of balance scope way too much, especially here with the Legion.
I mean,
my big problem isn't even how powerful it is. My big problem is that there's nothing that's even 1/10 the power of a Headhunter if you know how to use it right. And that means there's only one chase item. And it's been the same chase item for like 3 years. And it's the only one that exists. And there used to be others back in the day. There used to be Skyforce were like insanely good as well. And there used to be Shavs used to be so rare and expensive. And now there's just one, and it's been dominating forever.
And I started playing.
That's my main problem with it. It's just one. There's just one thing. Just one item that everybody wants. That's the only thing that's powerful. Everything else is 1/10 the power of it at best.
I mean, if I recall correctly, Headhunter was introduced to the game around like late October
Nemesis
2013. Maybe November.
Yeah, but it wasn't super meta then or good because we had less clear speed.
Absolutely.
People only ever had one or two buffs.
and probably less rare monsters.
Yeah, so they had one or two buffs at a time. And then if you were doing like super, super quick, like min-max fucking mapping at that point, you were looking at 4 or 5 Headhunter buffs, which at 4 or 5 Headhunter buffs is now decent and fun. And occasionally you get speed out of nowhere or a big chunk of energy shield out of nowhere, and that's enjoyable, but it wasn't that strong. The faster the clear goes, the more ridiculous it gets.
Yeah, the power creep has just been
self-temp chains bullshit.
But like you're saying that you hope, or do you think that they will do it?
Oh no, I hope. I don't.
You hope.
I don't.
Because the thing is, I've
got both fingers crossed, my legs crossed, everything.
Because the thing is, Headhunter is such an iconic item, and they even introduced Inspired Learning 2016, 17, something like that, middle of 2016. Inspired Learning came in, and I think that they already nerfed the drop rates of divination cards for both nurses and fiends and doctors to make it less accessible. Now, it was very accessible, in this league, and I think that they will never actually do anything about it. I really don't think they will ever do anything about it. I seriously doubt it.
See, here's the thing, though. You don't really have to. And when I talk about dealing with Headhunter's problems, first of all, dealing with all the self-curse temp chains bullshit and making it not able to make 1 minute Headhunter buffs, that would almost be enough of a nerf to put Headhunter back in its place. But nerfing Headhunter isn't really the only option. If you want to make that the base power, you can quite easily bring other items and make them powerful, and then just balance the game around that power level so that people don't whinge about it. Like, my biggest problem is just that it's the only one. That's it. There is only Headhunter. Everything else is irrelevant, and once your build has a Headhunter on, you could nearly replace most of your gear with white gear with the right sockets for your gems and still be fine. It's ridiculous, and there's nothing else close. Yeah. And that's the problem. There's just all the other gear, then your tier 1 uniques, and then over there in the ceiling, in the floor above me, is just Headhunter sitting on a one pedestal just on its own. And that doesn't, I just don't like that. I want variety. I want 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chase uniques that people have to pick from. Hopefully stuff that takes the same slots or doesn't really synergize well together, but have really, really good power and are rare in our chase items. I don't want it to just be, well, I've started the league, so now I should farm a Headhunter, and that's my goal. I want it to be, okay, which one of these chase items do I want to go for? What do I want to farm for? What characters am I going to build? Not just get a Headhunter, same as I did every year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that to some degree. I think the closest belt we have in the game to Headhunter would be Visco's Leash, and that's nerfed for that matter as well. Yeah. No longer giving the buffs to the minions as it should be doing, which I think was a fair nerf because every minion build used it just because it was fucking good. But it's probably the closest you get to a Headhunter, and that's, well, I would argue for it being within the range of a 10th away from it, but because of the other limitations and requirements of investment that comes with Headhunter. Either way, doesn't really matter. I think that's the closest we get to. I just think that I do believe Chris said in an interview, I might be wrong, I'm pretty sure he said in an interview around before Ascendancy was released that he wanted Path of Exile to not be mindless power creeping, and therefore they wanted the game to be hard. And then later in the interview, they announced Ascendancy, and that just skyrocketed everyone's power. And not until the league after they patched, or 2 leagues after, it might have been, they buffed monsters by giving them more HP, and bosses got twice as much HP. That was their solution to the power creep. I mean, it's been going from that point before Ascendancy, before we had Ascended character. You had a Witch, you had a Duelist, you had a Templar, you had a Shadow. You didn't have these things like Elementalist, Inquisitors, and shit. You didn't have that back then. And from the point where we got that, the game has just been increasing in terms of the meta of clear speed has just been vastly emphasized on, and the power creeping has just been getting worse and worse. And I say worse because I'm the kind of ARPG player that thinks Warframe, for example, is a great game. But I fucking hate the game because it's all about meta clear speed. It's all about the power creeping. I mean, I'd rather have the content being challenging. Does any of you guys remember when Kriparian hit level 100 farming piety runs? That was many years ago. And that took a long time. And he did a fast build. And that one looks like you've equipped everything that gives you slow movement speed in the current state of the game. And then, put on walk on your character if you even can do that. I don't even know. I mean, that's basically the difference from then to now. I know what you guys feel about the power creeping in general.
I don't think power creep's a bad thing on its own.
I think
In fact,
Leroy,
I think it's
you
almost necessary, isn't it?
Leroy, you wanted to say something. You wanted to chime in and say Headhunter needs to go. And I'd like to, you as a someone who brings a little bit of the design perspective, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it without trying to bias it by phrasing a question.
Are you trying to frame me? Is that what's going on? Are you going to get me in trouble with GGG?
Exactly. No. I just want to have your opinion as a player, but like mixed in obviously with you can't be neutral as a player. You'll always take in the perspectives that you learned from your game design activities, I'd say.
Yeah, like being a player at first, I was like, cool, Headhunter seems great. And then I started working on a game, and we actively talk about other ARPGs, their balance, their design. We actively go out and play them, and we're trying to navigate design waters here. Like, we obviously don't want our own version of Headhunter, and that's something we're actively avoiding. And I think the Headhunter, in its current state, like I've never had a Headhunter, haven't wanted one for a while, but I see some of these people streaming, and there's just like a giant on the screen. It's like way out of screen, just like smiting all these minions from above. And you can't tell what's going on. And I don't think when Chris Wilson sat down and made this game however many years ago, like that was ever a thing that he wanted. It was never a vision he had for his game, is just watching this like Dance Revolution giant thing happen on the screen. And the reason I want to see it go away is because I think that's outside of the heart of what the developers wanted for the game. And so if it got some sort of nerf, if it got toned back a little bit, and somebody in chat was like, it doesn't control the trade meta. And I'm like, it
almost single-handedly does.
It almost single-handedly controls the entire trade like composition.
Yeah.
Like everybody is trading up for that. Like the Headhunter determines the price of everything.
Headhunter
comes
and
down from
quantity farmers together,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, at a guess, control 80% of the market. The less
Pretty
than
much.
1% of people who are doing both of those things control 80% of the trade market.
It's like a mafia setup. Like really, it is. I mean, and the fact that you can RMT into a Headhunter is also just not a good thing.
Wait, you can RMT into a Headhunter?
You can RMT.
Yeah, you can go on a website
losing your
and just
account.
buy it. I'm just saying, like people.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know.
It's a
Thank
thing
you.
that
thought that was-
happened.
Okay.
I'm not promoting it. Please don't go RMT and get your account banned. It's not what Papa Leroy
So
said.
that's how you got yours.
It's just possible.
Yeah, that's a different problem, though.
I think you
that's
brought
an
up a really
RMT
fair
problem.
point there.
That's actually very interesting. Though before my question, I just want to chime in. I mistook the person that hit 100 on Piety once was not Kriparian. I was wrong. It's actually Havoc who hit it.
Yeah, I thought it was
100%.
Havoc.
I mixed it up. It's my bad. So it was Havoc who did it. I got corrected in chat there. Speaking of Headhunter and the way it works and the market and everything like that, and when it comes to this type of generic clear speed meta, could you like tell us about Last Epoch on this? Like, so real quick, what the idea of that type of play is for the core design for Last Epoch's future? Because I know a lot of people in here have played it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know we're not going to go too much into it right now. I just want to know what the idea is there compared to the current state of the market and Headhunters being available in Path of Exile, if you don't mind.
Just our design process there is that we don't want items that are on that level. Like Valor Mage, I think you nailed it on the head. That's the only chase unique in the game. When you have an item that's that powerful and that sought after, it's like, I might as well just wear whites and throw the thing on. So we want items to be balanced, on tiers. Obviously there's going to be tiers of uniques. There's going to be some uniques that are okay and some uniques that aren't super good and some uniques that are great. But then uniques that make you like God 2.0, those are things we want to avoid. Same with set items. We want build enhancing, not necessarily fully build enabling. That way you're able to pick other uniques over different uniques that people might be wanting. We want to make the choice not 100% obvious when it comes to what items you wear, because then I feel that limits you in the creativity of what you're doing with your build. And so that's where we're coming at it. That's what we have in focus every time we design any sort of unique item, and we're not perfect at it, but I think we've got a really good direction with the way our uniques and our sets are going.
I assume,
fair enough.
I assume like long term having chase items and chase uniques that are decently powerful and incredibly rare seems to me like a really good thing, just not to this extreme. I assume you still plan on having some of those in there that are like, this will take you a while to farm. This is going to be expensive, hard to get, very powerful, just not quite to the headhunter level of once you get it, you just don't need anything. And the rest of your gear is irrelevant.
We have a lot of things, and I cannot quite talk about a couple of them yet because they're still in the design process, but we are thinking that far out ahead. It's okay, now you've got uniques. Like, do we put a cap on your character and how far they can go, or do we continue to provide ways to upgrade your items, upgrade your character, etc.? And so that's a lot of what's in the work behind the scenes, and we'll be talking more about that. I think it was phase 2. And we'll hit that near the end of the podcast, and I can talk a little more then, but I can't give it all away yet.
But it's like I'd be sad if there was no chase item. If it was just like, hey, here's your semi-rare uniques, and then those are decent, and then that was like the highest level of thing you can chase. That would be sad.
This is from like a dev team who I farmed Stones of Jordan to trade for Windforce. Like, I chase unique was my life, farming Pintleskin and Bale just day in and day out. I mean, that's kind of why we got together, is we miss an ARPG with that sort of element in it. And, getting on with your static group of people to go farm Bale for 6 hours a night. I don't know why farming Bale for 6 hours a night was so fun. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm jaded, but we really liked getting, those items, getting those trade. And so that's something that's in perspective for us.
Yeah, I felt reminded of my early PoE days when you said that you didn't want Headhunter in the game. I was never concerned about Headhunter or about the super clear speed meta while racing was still in PoE. And maybe that's something that we mentioned later down the line when there's some whole section of the podcast where we talk about racing as a whole. But as long as racing was there, it was always like, I didn't care about the softcore ultra endgame meta because I was all about hardcore solo self-found racing, and I knew that Headhunter doesn't play a role there, and so do 90% of uniques or endgame uniques there. So I don't know, I was a little bit more fine with something like that being in the game, but it was also not as problematic as it is now. But now it's both more pressing as an issue, and at the same time, I don't have my regular race seasons and a lot of races. Races seem like a rare event happening now and then, rather than like the PoE everyday reality. And that's a little bit sad.
Is it just me, or would you guys also like to see other sorts of competition other than just racing in PoE? I'm not going to advocate for PvP here. I'm just saying,
Well, what kind of
aspects?
Do you have an example? Like
example could
fusing
be
contest with MB Extreme, fusing battle.
I mean, yeah, I've been talking to MB about hooking up some dual gambling duels in the next league too. So basically, we haven't gone through, we haven't agreed on anything. I just pitched him the idea. We'll see what he says. He said he'd be interested, so we're going to talk more about it. So basically, we're talking about getting like 100x of some sets of divination card, for example, and we see who profits the most. Small things like that. But like, I was thinking like other types of competition, such like, the fastest kill on a certain boss.
So you mean not racing to a level, but racing to an event, to something in the game,
but
to a
not
boss.
racing in that sense. Like you'll have a preset gear, or you have a preset ability that you have to use, and when you let's just say that you have a naked level 70 character or whatever, And,
Okay, so like the alternate start races that they did for a while, where you
like
start in
alternate
Act
start
2.
races where you have it like the ascend, what are they called, the ascension or something like that, where you got a couple of items when you open up that were specific for the race, and then your
Descent, yeah.
champions.
The descent, yeah. It's like something like that. You get a certain couple chests where you can pick some pieces, and then you have to do a certain fight or something like a boss fight or whatever. Like something like that. I would love to see that, or even PvP for that matter. Not that I'm personally interested in doing it, but I think that other aspects of competition, other than racing, because the thing is with racing is that you need an excessive amount of practice. Now, we have some new names in the race scene in PoE that are really good, like GhazzyTV, fucking amazing. He's been racing for what, 6-7 months or something. 6-7 months of excessive, a lot of hours, but excessive amount of race practicing to be able to be that good. And that's crazy good. That's really good. The long races, which are the big boy races, especially for us Twitch streamers to go ham on a new league, they last for about a week. And that means 30 hours awake, 4 hours sleep, 30 hours awake, 4 hours of sleep, and then you're almost dead.
By the way.
And then you keep going. I used to love it, but I'm getting too fucking old for that shit. So I'm not doing it anymore. My body can't handle it. So I stopped doing it because of that fact, because I cannot stay up for 30 hours and sleep 4 hours, and then 30 hours and sleep 5 hours, 30 hours and sleep 12 hours. Because last I did that, I mean, I felt shit for 2 weeks afterwards. I could barely get out of bed.
You're just cutting back on the rum too much.
I mean, the rum helps. That's not the issue. Okay, let's just not, dude. You don't say shit like that, man. Wow.
No, I'm saying you're cutting back on it too much. You need to drink more.
Drink more? I can't. I mean,
physically impossible.
Yeah,
I believe in you.
I have physical limitations of how much my belly can expand. Okay, but I mean, jokes aside, I just think that in that sense, there's a lot of options of what they can do. And I think that would be more fun for a lot of people to have other venues. Even having something fun like the Battle Royale was hilarious. They could do something like that. I don't get why that wasn't an option. I want the private league where that's a thing. That's what I want.
Oh man, I love GGG because they have this high expectation of themselves, but damn, was that a bad move that when they didn't have an April's Fools that was elaborate, they didn't just rerun Battle Royale. That would have been such great publicity. So many people weren't able to play it the first time it was around. Like, I mean, I really appreciate what they did instead, but that was not, like, it's not the same, really, giving us, like, a little shit post that was funny. The game mode was so good. It would have been so fun with all the meta changes also that happened in the year.
If they'd have put that back in, I'd have played Battle Royale 16 hours a day for the entire event. I've just been straight up Battle Royale all day, every day. Let's go.
You know what? I'll I want to talk to them. I want to talk to Bex. I want to talk to GGG. I want to see if there's something we can work out to get fucking a private league sorted with Battle Royale. You know how many people would buy slots to enter that? A lot of people. They can make money. We can have fun. Because I'm so bored with Legion right now, so I'm doing meme bills. That's how far it's gone.
Battle Royale, I don't think would work good enough as a private league or as a permanent invention, like part of the game. Like if they had all just left it in the game, it would be dead. You wouldn't be able to use it. It's not got enough longevity in it.
It would if they would put work into it. If there was like a rotation of skills available or something like that, that would shake up the meta every week. Yeah,
I think it would wear off. But I think it's a fantastic event. Yeah. To put all that extra work into that. But just how it was.
Like doing anything multiplayer is like making a game twice. Like I don't know. I don't think they would have. Was that before the 10-cent buyout? I don't know. I just don't think they have the dev thoroughfare for that. I don't know. I think
they had the capacity to make the Battle Royale in literally 1 day, is what they said. They threw
but
that
to sustain it and then to continue to update it like Fortnite's updated, like that. That's
like to keep it moving and fresh, like you're describing, would take a lot.
Well, I'm not advertising like a permanent implementation. I'm just saying like give it to us more often than once in 2 years.
No, I just also hinted to add it to us as a private league thing because I think that would be a thing we streamers can utilize. Like literally, we streamers can get our own communities, and I think that we can hype it up pretty well to get slots in for a private league and have it open for like a week or something, and give a reward to whoever really has the leaderboard or something after that week. I think a lot of people will sign up to it. And they already have everything, so I mean, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, right?
I'm not sure how Battle Royale would work as a week-long league. Like, if you could buy a one-time event. I was thinking about that because they hinted at it. I was just trying to find the article, but it will take too long. But there was a Q&A where GGG explicitly mentioned possibly giving us exclusive game modes in the future in custom leagues, where they also mentioned what they didn't have to mention, but they said the words, they said endless delve. They did say it. So they acknowledged that endless delve is a thing that could happen and that the community wants. So I'm like, I'm really hyped about that. But I think in that context, it would work if they do like a special custom league mod of the month, where every month they rotate in new custom leagues that you can buy that are available for a limited time, and that then disappear again, so that they don't fall off, that they don't lose attraction.
I guess.
I think if they like put it in, like if they made lab endless and had traps and some other things, that wasn't just like go pick up what were the two skills, like freezing pulse and I don't know, whatever two skills were the only skills you could use during that. I think if they mixed it up a bit, it would be a lot more popular than just the island, just the first iteration they released it in.
Yeah, just split arrow. Just grab split arrow. Everything's fine. That was insanely. I don't think it would do that well if it was brought in regularly. I think it just wouldn't. I think it would wear off. I think it was super fun, and I'd like to see it brought back a little more often. And I'd love to see little changes that would be quite easy to do. Like, for instance, just say next time you bring it in for a long weekend or something and it's 3 days, have everyone start at level like 24 or something, or 28. And, you've got that 1 minute at the beginning to like set your passive tree up the way you want. And then level 28 gems will drop out of the chest, and suddenly it's not exactly the same as before, but it requires so little development or time spent on it that it's something you can just throw out as an event for the weekend to drag people back in, and it would be super fun. I really like the way they did it. The idea for me would be to keep the amount of time they have to spend developing that down, because it's not important enough to take away from the base game, but it's a really, really, really fun event. And there's a lot of different little things they could do, like starting at different levels, or making it so that everybody's a scion this time. Lol, enjoy that. Or having it so that everyone starts with one ascendancy point or whatever, like one lab worth of ascension in this one. And that's, here you are at level 35, ascended once, and you've got a minute to pick what that is. And having
ultra rapid fire mode, kill your game.
Yeah, you could have it so that everybody starts with a. You could have it so that it's like a lab shrine. You could have it so that everyone starts with a speed and an echo shrine, and then be like, "Oh, that's the weekend. See you guys."
Everybody has a fully charged headhunter.
Yeah, yep.
Headhunter as a league mod is so pog. They did headhunter races during the races.
Yeah.
It was so fun to just be on a level playing field and to just start from level 1 and get those.
The headhunter races
was worth killing. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and the headhunter races came with every pack had a rare in it, and every rare had like a mirrored rare, and everyone had headhunter, and that was a fun race. It wouldn't be a fun league, but it was a fun race.
Wait. You like Legion, but you don't think that would be a fun league for you?
Wow, 1 weekend Legion headhunter race. Let's go, boys. Oh, that would be so good as an
I mean,
ending.
it's like equally shit in my opinion for a 3-month league.
This is how boring headhunter is to me. I would rather play the support for someone else who's wearing a headhunter, so that I don't have to deal with that stuff to make money, because that's by far the best way to make money, to then fund my fun builds that also don't wear headhunters.
I always say this when I stream, that the reason I have a headhunter, right? I have a headhunter. I've had it for quite a long time now in the Legion, obviously. And I have used it for maybe a couple of hours. And then I gave it to a friend. Well, lend it. Okay, I'm not going to give away a headhunter because I'm gonna Vol Orbit soon. So that's my plan. Obviously, I'm going to corrupt it. But that aside, the fact is that the more I play with a headhunter, the faster I get burned out on the game. It just everything else that doesn't wear a headhunter gets boring so fast. If it's not half as fast as the character with headhunter, to me it feels boring and slow, and it's a shit build. Even if it might be the best build in the game, but it's just not fast enough because it's not wearing a headhunter. And that's my issue with it. It just breaks all the enjoyment of all the other builds I do and create. That's my problem with headhunter, personally at least.
Yeah, once you get a taste of that, it's hard to play something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's like snorting cocaine. It's fucking amazing, but I mean, after you've done that, you don't want to go back to fucking fucking flour, right? That's not.
I've never snorted flour, but maybe I should try.
I tried once. It was disgusting.
That can't be good. I snorted sherbet once on a dare. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. Sherbet. I was coughing. Sherbet. It's like the white powdery sugar stuff that. Really?
Powdered sugar?
Is this just an Australian thing? What do other people call sherbet? Surely,
like orange.
Surely everyone's got.
Is it
sherbet.
like candy, like sugary sour stuff powder?
Orange ice cream here in America.
What?
It's my favorite ice cream, but it's not like I wouldn't snort ice cream. Or really anything, but
sherbet,
really not orange ice cream.
Dessert. Oh god, no, that's not what I mean.
Yeah, snorting is not my preferred method of ingestion either.
Okay. I mean, when I was in school, I played ice hockey, and at the ice hockey rink, there was like this little kiosk, and there was candy, and this was a thing called, it was called hockey pulver, which is a hockey powder, which is basically just black licorice powder. Like that's it. And that would turn into a thing where people would snort it, and you would have fucking licorice up your nose for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how much you did it.
Oh, you get sick of that smell, wouldn't you?
No, it was pretty good. I mean, you got some candy for about a fucking week when you were in class. I mean, it wasn't that bad. But no, I mean, it's like once you got the taste of the good shit, you don't really want to go back. I personally try to make most of my build guides I create, and because of that, I make the same builds I play them to test them and tweak them and whatnot. Are designed for new players and budget friendly. Headhunter has never been budget friendly, so that's a pretty big no-go. And doing a cheap build doesn't mean that it gets the super meta class. But well, Edie Contagion that I did many years ago, that's meta nowadays, and it's still low budget, even if it's meta in the current state, because how fucking well designed you can do Edie Contagion. Yeah. But putting that specific, unique example aside, that means I create builds that are not as fast as anything near as you get with Headhunter. So playing with Headhunter would make the game very boring for me, very, very fast. And that's the huge issue for me when it comes to Headhunter.
I mean, after all, there's still bossing in the game, right? Like, the Headhunter is never the best choice for a bossing build. So,
it's funny that you mention it. Because bossing, I love doing that. I got partnership on Twitch on PoE by running Ubert Series 8,000 times. Pretty much. Over 8,000
is the
times,
best.
actually.
I really enjoy bossing.
I loved it. Then we got Ascendancy notes.
Profitable.
And suddenly everyone was taking a dump on it, Series 6 titties. And then afterwards we got some nice boss. We got Shaper. Oh, but we can kill him in full blue gear. And that's not even an issue. That's piss easy. Full blue gear, you can kill the Shaper. And then we got Elder New Brother. And Uber Dan, I believe. I might be wrong now. I'm just going to say that. So I do believe it was Uber Dan who got it first right, in hardcore at least. With
He was.
Yeah, with the thick jug right. And that was the way he did it was to trivialize certain aspects of the fight. It was either that, and in softcore, people did it by bursting the boss fast enough with the glass cannon build, so he didn't do shit because he just died anyways. And now everyone's running. And even, like, I prefer to do these bosses with something like the Occultist Vortex Skill build because you can do so many mistakes and still do the fights. It's very new player friendly to do it with. And that allows you to go in and completely neglect most of the fight because you're not going to die to it anyways. And that kills you the hardest boss in the game. And the only boss in the game left that can compare to these is the Delve boss Owl, right? And he's piss easy. He's so easy. Even on depth 1000, I've done him very, very easily with 3-man party H being carried. The only time he's an issue at higher depths is when he has really nasty bots. But then again, then we could argue for certain map bosses being piss hard with certain map mods. And I mean, and I don't think that's really accurate. But the boss itself on its core design is piss easy. And I don't think he compares to Uber Elder in my opinion at all. I think that all is much easier than Uber Elder. But the fact that he can have modifiers makes it potentially harder. And the fact that these bosses are there and a lot of us really enjoy doing these fights, that's great, right? Except the fact that they're completely useless and a waste of currency, which also makes them a waste of time to even bother looking at, because buying the pieces, even running the maps to do it, will cost you more currency in general. And with all the RNG and everything, that if you look at statistics, you will lose more currency doing that than to just sell the fragments after you've run the maps. And I don't think that's a good thing.
Okay, I think profit-wise, there's a different reason for that. I don't think they're as easy as you're making them sound. I don't think Uber Elder is that easy. I don't think even Shaper is that easy. Yeah, once you learn the fight perfectly, you can do it severely undergeared, like in all blue gear, for instance. But that to do something like that, it also involves you playing it perfectly. If you get hit once by anything, you're dead. That's it. So that's not easy. That's just you've gotten good at it. You've gotten the timing of the fight down perfectly. And that's great. The main reason that bossing isn't profitable is divination cards. I think divination cards are bullshit. I think every single boss drop that has a divination card for it, the only place you should ever be able to get that divination card is from that boss. That because it's quicker and faster to get a Ziriax that I can't remember the name of on the spot right now from cards than it is from farming Uber at Ziri. That takes too long. Farming Uber at Ziri is a pain in the ass. You got to get a bunch of fragments. You got to run the normal one a lot, or you got to buy them. It's a pain in the ass. You can just pick up the div cards. They're easy. They come out of boxes while you're mapping. Like, why would you do it another way? Like, it's in most cases cheaper to buy Watcher's Eye cards than it is to go and fight Elder, because you can just buy the cards. They just drop out of boxes. Like, that's just, I don't think boss items at all should come from div cards, and if they have to, then the div card should only come from the boss. Like, if you had a Watcher's Eye card, then when you kill an Elder, maybe there's like a 50% chance for the card to drop, so that as you're farming Elder as a boss farmer, if you get on an unlucky streak and you never get a Watcher's Eye, you're building up that cards anyway. But for that to work, they would have to never come out of boxes, not come from mapping. They have to come from only the boss that drops the items that it's giving, because then it becomes a thing you can slowly farm for while you're bossing. And if you're, especially in hardcore, tons of people who can't do these bosses in hardcore, so it becomes super profitable. Like, you could, if you're the only one who can get them, if there's only 6 people who are doing bossing actively in hardcore, and there are only 6 people currently farming Uber Elder regularly, suddenly everything you get from him becomes totally worth your time, and it's a great way to play and make money and super fun. But
it makes it worth
div cards ruin everything.
Yeah, no, I agree to that to some degree. I'm curious though about your. You said that you didn't agree that a boss like Owl, if you take away the map modifiers, was harder than Uber Elder. Can you elaborate on
I don't think mechanically any boss is harder than Uber Elder. Uber Elder is 2 targets that are switching between being damageable and not damageable, and there's so many things to keep track of. There's the little spawns that ruin your arena that you need to manage. There's a lot of things to pay attention to. I agree that when you're a very seasoned player, that it becomes very easy because you build these automatisms. But just for a new player going into the fight blind, fresh, I think Uber Elder is the toughest fight in the game, just from a mechanics standpoint.
With that. Absolutely. Because the difference is, like, in Uber Elder, like, we're talking without map modifiers, because Owl the builds I usually do these bosses with, there are a handful of modifiers that makes me unable to do all.
But we have
if
to
I get hit
distinguish here.
once.
We have to distinguish between mechanical difficulty and numerical difficulty, right?
Exactly.
The numbers that he deals are not as bad as all in Deep Delve with high mods, but all will always be mechanically easier to play than Uber Elder because there's less things that you need to.
check, really.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would argue for a Delve 1000 Owl is easier than Uber Elder if he doesn't have any modifiers. Like I've done some that doesn't affect him that much, or that makes me have any issues with him, and I've done a Delve. I think it was 1040 or something. That's the highest Owl kill I've done with 3-man HP. It took a while, I'll give you that, but it wasn't hard. And Uber Elder, there's like you have telegraphed attacks right from them, very well telegraphed, but you can be slowed unless you trivialize this with like counter roots, for example, and you can trivialize it in different types of aspects. But you can be limited in the area you're able to move because of the circle explosion, right? And at the same time, you have to dodge 2 different abilities at the same time. If he's putting a slow on you and then a beam is there, you can still get fucked over because of unlucky situations, right? That can happen in Uber Elder, making it pretty hard. This is still a risky situation, even if you're a seasoned person who's done it several times. Whereas in Owl, everything is so telegraphed that I can probably do it with one hand. That's how easy Owl is mechanically. And I don't think that a lot of people understand what you were saying, Kat, like the differences between numerical difficulty versus the mechanical aspect of it. Because mechanically, Owl is like it's like a walk in the park. It's not until you add, turbo, penetration, crit multi when he starts, if you get touched once, you're dead. I've done those as well, and with a few tries, because you get one shot if he just, briefly braces you, and I think that's very important to distinguish the differences between those two.
I'm still more scared of All than I am of Uber Elder.
But would you if you didn't have any modifiers?
Yeah, I don't know the fight well enough.
Oh,
I only get to see it once or maybe twice a league,
okay.
at best. Whereas I can fight Uber Elder. I only got my first kill less than a week ago. I've killed him 6 or 7 times since then without really targeting it. Just whenever he spawns, I just go and kill him again. Now I'm comfortable with that fight, and I've done it a bunch. I'm way more scared of All. Because I don't know the fight well enough. I've seen him maybe 3 times total or 4 times total. Like, that's it. And there's long gaps in between them, so I'm not well practiced at that fight.
Yeah, fair. That's another layer of difficulty, or another way a boss can be difficult, just by being so rare that you'll realistically always have it'll always be somewhat obscure for the player playing it, because you'll never get enough practice to feel very confident on it, unless you're doing like softcore boss service where you do a couple of them every day or something like that. But in order to backtrack, or to get the whole discussion back on track, and to finish off the Legion core mechanic discussion, if you wanted, or if Legion goes core, regardless of whether you want it to go core or not, what do you think needs to be changed about it if it happened? But we already said what we don't like about it, so this is probably the same. But just to finish that off, like, what does need to change for Legion to be core?
Oh, it just needs to end.
Well, yeah, it needs to end in order to go core. That's what all leagues do before they go core. But nice running gag. But
Welcome.
Okay, LeRoy, what do you think? What change does Legion need in order to be a nice addition to the base game?
I think it would make for a good, like Balor was saying, it would make for a good boss farming experience. And I think if they, first off, I hate that the rares are harder than the bosses. That just, from a development standpoint, that's not my favorite thing. So tone down some of the rares. Don't pull Incursion 2.0 with the rares, and make the bosses harder and make them worth killing. I think doing that to Legion would make it a lot more better as a standalone mechanic down the road. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree with that. The move that they buffed rare and magic monster life without touching white monsters and bosses feels like kind of a mistake, but I can see why they did it, because if they just buffed everything, then just every build would feel weaker than before in general, and that would maybe drive people away. I mean, I would love it, but you know, there's people who have some sort of opposition to that. Balor, what do you think needs to change?
I'd like to replace. I'd like to replace every single rare in that entire place with little unique ads for the boss, so that there weren't any rare mobs to steal anymore. And then
For the headhunter stacks,
yeah, and then make the bosses far more rewarding to kill, because now you have to engage with them much slower without headhunter buffs. Like, for instance, we do headhunter runs, 2 inspired learnings in hardcore and a headhunter and self-temp chains and whatnot, and the guy's running around, my carry's running around with 70 to 90 buffs, and we kill bosses the moment before you get on the screen, because cyclones, like, as soon as they're as soon as they're loaded, they're dead in one shot. Like, that's the speed. And we don't get 5 jewels every run. Like, we don't get a base jewel of every. Quite often there's 3 or only 4 of the jewels. So if you make that change, which is what I would want to do, where you get rid of all the rares so that can't happen, their little unique style ads everywhere, so that there's still, you know, trash to kill, flash charges to get, those sort of things. Mm-hmm. You then need to vastly upgrade the drop rate of these things, because I'm not going to be killing 4 of them every 10 seconds anymore. We're now going to have to go and engage with them, so that those would need to be significantly more likely to drop, because chances are you're going to be killing way less of them per fight. On top of that, you wouldn't be getting as many splinters, we wouldn't be getting as many tries at the fight. So if it were to go core, that's what I would like to see out of it. I suspect none of that would happen, but that is what I'd want to see. I'd want to see it get way more focused on the bosses, and then the boss drops way bumped up, because we're not going to get to kill nearly as many of them without all the extra juice.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think they could also make it so that they just shift the reward symbols. Like, currently you have the reward symbols on rares and on the loot crates in the Legion and stuff, and just put the reward symbol, put 3 on top of a boss, and take away the rares in the encounter. And then if you kill the boss,
it could be 10. There could be 10 times the amount of loot of a rare, but only when you kill the boss, not out of anything else. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
For me, the biggest thing that needs to change is, at the same time, one of the big upsides to it as a league, in my opinion, that what makes it fun for me. But I think what really needs to change if it goes core is they need to take away all the league specific rewards from other leagues from Legion. I think it's pretty bad that, you know, all those temple mods and all the, you know, breach stone enrichments and all that stuff, that you can get that from Legion, that devalues the other leagues, and it kind of makes it not interesting to run those at all. You run them because you get them for free, right? You get safe houses for free, so you can enrich breach zones if you get it that flat. Rank 3 in research, sure, you're enriching a breach zone, but you're not target farming that, because enriched breach zones are giving out via incubators and drops from Legion. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the incubators, maybe about the breach zones in particular. Maybe that's the worst, because they're fairly rare. But in particular, I noticed it with the Guatalitzli's temple prefix, the chest pieces with increased life and flat life. Like, I've maybe once or twice gotten those from the incursion temples themselves. And in Legion, I've gotten like 15, 16 fairly good chests with that mod. And it's just
get 2 or 3 a mapper.
I didn't even run incursion for it.
Yeah. I think that generally, like, I think it's going to go core. I hope not, because I really despise the way they've designed the endgame of it. If it's going core, I really hope they rethink the way the emblem fights works. I want to see if, I don't care what's there. I don't care if they fix it so that the bosses, that headhunter doesn't work in there, no matter how they fix it. I don't really care about that. What I care about is investment the reward per investment to be the same for all players. Because I'm a player who plays on league release between 12 and 24 hours a day. That's most of us, I reckon. And we don't have a problem with that. But most players playing Path of Exile don't play 12 to 24 hours a day for a couple of weeks. They don't do that. They don't have access to these things. I'd rather see them have a reward per investment being similar to how they did with Breach. You go in, there's a set loot table. You pop 5 of them, you'll have 5 chances of getting, if you finish it, that is, you'll have 5 chances of getting the jewels, 1 for each, right? I would rather see them have something like that done, so that you kill the bosses once or something, make them much harder or whatever you want to, however you want to do it. But just make sure that the reward per run is the same for everyone. Now, a better geared and more seasonal player will be able to do these much faster and more effective, and therefore be able to do more runs for their time they're in the game, which is the same way they've done it for Breach. But in Breach, the rewards are not different based on how fast you're clearing. The rewards is the same. The only difference is, like I mentioned, based on RNG, which is the same for a slow player compared to a fast player doing the same run. And I'd like to see that being the thing in Legion, because I don't think that the way they have it right now is healthy in the long run, if you will, for new players coming into it, because it locks away content for people. And when we have situations like this where certain gear will always be better, let's say we take away Headhunters and Inspired Learning, we're still killing things, which means that most likely Bisco's Leash will be the next chase item, because that will vastly increase the efficiency of doing it. That's the next step. If you remove Headhunter availability there, Bisco's Leash will be the next belt. And then there might be a certain meta build and whatnot, certain items for that build that will make it better. Those things will go up in value and become the next chase item. Maybe not as expensive, but will still be the same impact on the market as Headhunter and Inspired Learning has right now, but at a smaller degree. It will still impact everything, and that will affect the new players and the ones that doesn't play as much as we do.
I think none of the unique builds is as outstanding as Headhunter. I don't think everyone would be running Bisco's Leash. I think Soul Thirst and now Soul Tether are both really, really strong belts to be wearing.
Neither of them increases your clear speed as Bisco's Leash is doing.
Soul Thirst does. Soul Thirst is Soul Eater.
Is it necessarily a bad thing that, in general, there's some content that not everyone can do?
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
I'm fine with that as well. I just don't want to see league-specific encounters, like the end game of a league mechanic, not even being accessible in a way that makes new players, they're forced to sell it because they cannot or they don't have the availability to kill it fast enough for it to be worth doing. I think that's a really bad way to design it. I really don't like that approach of it. That's more my take on it.
If there was a lot like that, then sure. But I don't know. I don't feel like having, like, obviously I don't like the Headhunter shenanigan stuff as well, but I'm not positive that, like, from a design point of view, that I hate the idea that there might be some content in the game that only the top 5 or 2 or 3% can actually do in a profitable manner. Having some things that are exclusive to the top whatever percent and exclude other people, make it not really worth it running for them. I don't know if that's really a terrible thing.
But didn't they have a statistics of how many people actually got to higher tier maps? There's a very small percentage of the player base that actually did that, and even fewer of those ever even encountered bosses like Shaper, or then even less on Uber Elder. They had this statistic for a couple of years ago. That content,
but none of those is
very
locked
limited. Out. No, it's not locked out, but it's only the players that invest a lot of time that goes to that has access to them because we play more, right? So that's already something that only the so-called top players or whatever the players that plays the most already does. So we already have content in the game that is not locked or gated, but because of the way the game is assigned and the investment and time required to get there, or experience with a game is already only being run by those people that play as the most, right? But it's not locked away or gated, but that's how it is in the game, statistically speaking.
Well, now I'm curious from LeRoy. Do you think it's a bad idea to have some stuff that is just not worth running for most people. That just is it okay if something's just available to, or just profitable, or just worth running to top percent people? Like, is that okay? Should all content be available to everyone properly? Or is it okay that some people just can't do it?
I think it's a good thing to have stuff for people to strive for. One of my favorite posts to read on the PoE Reddit is like, "Hey guys, I finally, killed Uber. I finally beat Uber." And that was like my first 2 weeks learning how to play. I had somebody like run me through it, like figure out how to do that, But like, you guys, Uber Lab is just like an everyday common occurrence. But there's tons of players in BOE that Uber Lab is like the very bottom, like the very top rung that they're seeing right now. I think it's good to have these certain different types of encounters to work towards. And so having stuff that's out of reach now, yes, but something to work towards is a good thing. Completely inaccessible, no. I don't think any part or content in the game should be like unreachable by the player base. It should only be gated by skill, in my opinion.
When it comes to the point behind, because of there being a trading in existence in PoE, so from your point of view and the way you can, also from how Last Epoch is handling these things, the problem I have with Legion, which I've voiced several times already, is the fact that it's not really gated. They can choose to run it if they want to, and they will maybe kill a bit, right? But it's not going to be anywhere near the value of these things because of the market, right? So let's just, for the sake of the argument, get some numbers out there. Let's say a 5-run emblem will cost you 100 Exalted Orbs, or you can sell them for 100 Exalted Orbs. And if someone that can't run them effectively enough to profit that much will not even make a fraction of that currency, that person will inherently feel inclined to sell them because it's a waste for him, because he can't upgrade his character as effectively. He chooses to run these things, not to mention the fact that it takes a goddamn long time to farm these splinters without purchasing them. He's going to be forced to sell them because they're not accessible to him because of the way the game works. What's the opinion from your point of view there on that situation occurring in something like Last Epoch?
Being able to buy into it, I mean, it just depends on if we make the items available for that. Like I managed to get, I did one 5-way army, I farmed up for it, and it was quite a farm just to do it by myself. I regret doing it myself. I should have just sold the stuff. But leaving that option open for people, I think that's smart to do, because like Valor said, there's going to be some people that can make money off of doing stuff like this, right? I enjoy bossing services. I enjoy farming services. I think they're a good and vital part to the community. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we've milked that point dry really hard. Wait, I'm muted? No,
Ballers.
Whoops, my bad.
I didn't even see Ballard's mouth moving. But,
As I say, the last point we had on what was going to be the first 30 minutes, is just real quick. Does everyone love these timeless jewel things that are just completely pseudo-random and near impossible to buy, trade, sell, find one that's good for you? Are these even great? Because, like, they're powerful, and I like the ideas, and I like the keystone changes ones, and they're great, but it just screams to me difficulty through obscurity rather than anything fun.
And power justified by obscurity, because I generally like the idea of being able to change the passive tree in significant ways, but they're just so powerful, which is justifiable because they're so obscure to evaluate and kind of hard to access in the sense that it's hard to get the one that you want. They're fairly common, right? I mean, I haven't seen a single one in SSF or League, but I also didn't do a lot of 4 ways.
I've got a stash tab full of them, and sometimes I'm like, I would really like one of these jewels right here in this spot, and then I try 27 jewels and they're all garbage, and then I put them back in and don't use them.
I don't like them. I don't like them because of the obscurity behind it. There are some aspects. This one jewel I've actually used in one of the builds I made because it uses soul tether, and there's a jewel that doesn't give a flying shit about the seed because the name on the slain enemies is Doriani's, and that dictates the keystone changes. So the keystone changes with it is very smooth. But when it comes to all the other main or major key nodes on the tree and the small nodes on the tree are different based off the seed, and the differences are huge. And I don't think that that's fun at all. It honestly just bothers me, and it doesn't I don't want to look into it. I was even told to use the Doriani seed jewel for the build, and even so, I wasn't a big fan of it. It gave me about 500 EHP for 2 skill points, and I chose to mainly not use it because it's just freaking annoying. I can't be arsed to. I really hope that if this shit goes core, I don't want to see the jewels, or at least I want to see a simplified version of it. I think they're really annoying, but that's my take on it. What do you think about this, LeRoy, when it comes to that type of itemization where, like Kat was saying, with the difficulty being more about the obscurity rather than it being a complex item, if you will?
Well, first, glancing blows. That's all I'll say. I appreciate the nod.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember.
And second off, yeah, I think, I don't know. It's weird. I think it was better for streamers. I know Ziz made a killing with his scion that he set up, and he just put the jewels in each of the spots, and then he had the jewel auction, and that was a lot of fun. That was kind of community building. But I think for like a player that's maybe not on Reddit, not on Twitch, like these timeless jewels are going to go, yeah, this looks like a vendor item. And so I just, the way it was introduced, the technicality of it, it wasn't very well explained, and just the amount of time that you have to spend messing with the jewels. I don't know if they put that in to try and maybe slow players down, but I don't know. It didn't feel super good. It was a good idea on paper, and there's probably ways to definitely improve it, which they might eventually down the road.
Yep. Yeah. The only part I loved is the keystone changes. The keystone changes ones were obvious. They all did the same thing. Like if you had a Doriani, it would change the keystone to the one you wanted. If you had and then those changes were cool. I loved those, being able to slap in brand new keystones anywhere. They're great. Yeah.
Those were intuitive. I like that if they would limit the seed to a handful, and this one makes all the main keystone give this instead or on top of the original one, that would be different. Then it would be more manageable and interesting for people. Now most people look at them and they're like, yeah, okay. And for a new player, I know there's several different external websites and sources and Discord servers set up for these things, and streamers checking them out and whatnot for people. And then you got to memorize where you could put what with what number. It's just too much. And I mean, Path of Exile is already a game that already requires a shitload of external sources. There's a reason I don't use logout macros, because I don't want to have another thing running on my computer for me to play a freaking video game. I have PoE Trade up, I have PoE Lab up, I have some notification on PoE.trade. I get PoE Wiki when I need it, but I don't have that up running. That's what I have when I play the game. I don't need to have a trade chat macro. I don't need to have or trade macro. I don't need to have a logout macro. I don't want to have all of these things. And then on top of this, I'm going to add another tool to check whatever the freaking shit this seed did. I don't want to have more things to add to my list of things that I need to be able to play the game. It just pisses me off. Same thing when it comes to the breach things, which is betrayal, that is part of the core game right now. For me to determine where I need to put one of these goddamn idiots that can't even defend their warehouse properly because they just crumble up and die. These guys that are supposed to be hard, I have to go to a website to check where do I need to put this motherfucker for me to get rich. And then I go back into the game and I put him. Okay, he's going to be at the safe house with the intervention. Otherwise, I don't get that. And I need to put Haku there. I need to put him there. And I have to go back and tab out to check this or have it on my other monitor to be able to play the game. And it's the description in game for what he gives where is so vague that it pisses me off. So I'm forced to use external sites for this. And that's just what's in the core game right now. And that's not even half of it. There's a lot of other aspects to it on top of this. It's just beyond me. And don't even get me started on Spectres or Tooltip. I mean, please. I mean, I don't mind that games require some stuff you want to look up on the side, but when it's sort of expected for you to play effectively or efficient, if you will, you're never forced to, right? I never used a trade macro. I've never used, well, I have used login macro, but I don't want to, because I think there's so much already that I have to tab out to check to play the game that I don't want to. I don't want to add more to that list, if that makes sense.
Okay, so here's my 2 cents. I really love the intention behind it. I really love the flavor. I was a big fan of adding passive tree sockets so we could put jewels in. It was really fascinating. It was a revolutionary idea to begin with the original implementation of jewels, and then continuously stacking up on top of that with the conditional jewels and jewels that modify the passive tree. And now we get this thing. I love the idea flavor-wise. Then on top of that, I like the idea that GGG core philosophy that I am assuming right now. I don't know whether they stated that anywhere. This is just, I'm making this up, so if it's not true, just, contradict me. But GGG is looking to make the game obscure in some ways in order to facilitate community interaction both within the community and between the community and the devs. Because the game could have a lot more information available in there, but it makes for a healthy kind of information economy between the players, that there is so much external knowledge that is necessary, and that people sort of specialize into someone knows more about crafting, someone knows more about delving, someone knows all about the syndicate, and so on. If you got a guild, you can always ask someone, and someone is an expert in every field. I like that idea, but in practice, I really don't like the jewels, because, as you said, they add another layer of obscurity on a very, very hard to get into game already for newer players. And the result is not making the game better. It just requires you to have yet another layer of third-party software and third-party means in order to evaluate those jewels. But I do really like, in contrast to Synthesis, right, where they have this data mineable stuff, I really like that this league, it's not data mineable. I really like that it kind of, you have to have the jewel. But yeah, people found a way around that. People found a way to write a tool that will just, when you hover the jewel in the passive tree, will just grab all the stats automatically, and you don't have to do anything. And people are making a catalog of all seat numbers right now as we're speaking. Right, but that will take ages in order to really get all the jewels in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just get pissed off with this shit. There's so much things with Legion. I can't handle it. I get too tilted with too many things. So I'd rather race practice and do meme builds because it's more fun, and I have a good time playing the game that way. I just don't think that the difficulty of any game should come from I don't understand what's going on.
Like,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's not, I don't think that's a fun or interesting thing to just be confused and have no real way of working any of it out. I just don't like that. I don't think that's fun or interesting. I think the idea was great. I like that it changes keystones. I hope that they change, because the new keystones that are added, the Glancing Blow one is actually my favorite. That's enabled me to do max block builds on, not traditionally block characters, and it's insanely good. Really love that one. That is by far my favorite keystone. The Doriani Overleach one being the second. But they're fun, and I don't want them to go away, so I really hope they make it in. But the rest of the jewels, I just end up, if I've got 6 of them, I'll throw them in the slot and see if one's good, but otherwise I'll just not use them. I'll just use the keystone changing ones in a place where I don't take any nodes, so I don't have to deal with it. And then that's it. Just change the keystones for me. The keystone ones are great. The rest of it,
Yeah, that would be a better way to put it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, how long were we supposed to talk about Legion again?
It's fine. We're usually scheduling the podcast for around 2 hours, but we're fine going. I hope you guys are also fine going like half an hour over time. We always try to go between the 2 and 3 hours. And we barely ever manage to stick to the 2 hours. Usually we manage to stick to the 2 hours on the league announcement streams podcast, because then there's not that much to talk about, because you get only a little bit of information. But it depends. I mean, depending on the guests. I remember the episode with you was also well above 2 hours when we were hyping up for Betrayal, Ghazzy.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, and I joined you after the podcast. We sat for 4 hours or something. 5?
Yeah, right. We were still chatting afterwards, right?
It was pretty fun.
So, difficulty through obscurity, verdict is not good, or is only good conditionally, or in general is a bad thing.
No one's a fan of the obscurity as a tool.
I have to be honest, that was one of the things that drew me into Path of Exile, though. Like, that it is a game that has a lot of things that you need to know, and that it's a knowledge-based game, that knowledge gives you an edge, being experienced in the game, being a seasoned veteran. Because I'm not a good player. I'm a fairly poor player mechanically. And so I was like, hey, this is finally a game where I can gain an edge. Possibly. But yeah. Apparently not. Everyone's muted?
No,
I was
No
nodding.
one agrees with me.
No, not necessarily. I don't know. I feel personally like I'm the kind of player that when I do something, I decide for what I want to do with it, and I try to be the best at the thing I decide to do. And for me, with Path of Exile, it's been summoners and endgame bosses, and that's been fun to do till I ran out of things to do. And I guess that we revert back to the old discussion in New Brother. Like for me, it's always been fun. You mentioned lack of practice, Baller, but I'd never done Kurgle before because I didn't like the delving part of the game, so I never do it. And a guy asked me to do services, and I basically just paid him to use his soul fight for me to run a few test runs. And before he died, I would suicide. So I get a couple of test runs to learn the fight. I did the same thing with Al. I think I did all 30 or 40 times, and then I just finished him off, and I haven't practiced more than that on him just to get the understanding of the mechanics down, so I can run it flawless afterwards.
That's basically how you can do in softcore.
Yeah, but
Must be
then
nice.
again, I haven't played that many League softcore for that matter either, which is also why I lacked experience with the delve bosses, because I usually do hardcore act. This must be my third league doing softcore in the last 4 years. Yeah, third league. So I think it's been good because I got the possibility to specifically practice on these things and actually get to see the mechanics of things. But then again, that's just different ways of playing the game, I reckon. Same thing with last Epoch with the race you guys had. Everyone went with their meta Sentinel builds, and I was like, fuck that, I'm going to go with my Summoner, and I just got third spots. I mean, I got my reward. I'm pretty satisfied.
I don't think anyone in that race was playing the fastest build, but that's fine.
Oh, wow.
I was certainly playing a shitty totem build.
I didn't race, but I'm not a racer, but that doesn't mean I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I think I had 2 faster builds than anyone was using in that race, but that's fine.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I might pick your brain about that after the podcast.
One of them hasn't been touched yet. I'm keeping it for when I want. I'm not telling anyone.
Okay.
I already nerfed it, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, it's gone. I don't think so, because I haven't seen a single guide or anyone doing it yet. I don't have a guide on it. It hasn't been touched. It hasn't. I don't think it's been touched because no one's brought it up as OP, and it's very OP.
Well, my main
But
concern
maybe I don't know.
Like my main concern during that last Epoch race was the arenas. I was very concerned about crashing the server with crashing the game with my minions because I had too many. That was my main concern. Every time I popped my explosion, everything would just lag for a second, and I prayed I was alive till my minions spawned.
Your computer pulled through. I was proud of it.
I did. Yeah, I did. It was satisfying. I'll tell you that.
I don't even want to talk about the build I played in last Epoch in the race. Mine was terrible. I thought that the totems were going to be good, but I just either did it wrong or... It's also a little bit weird in last Epoch. The totems, if I don't remember correctly, of the shaman, they don't scale with spell damage because they're minions, so they only scale with minion damage. But I don't want to branch out just yet.
I don't even think that's weird. I think that makes far more sense than a totem casting on my behalf.
Yeah,
like
I like where you're coming from. Last Epoch.
Like they make way more sense as minions.
Yeah, because
it's just weird because we're coming. Yeah, it's just weird when we're coming from PoE where we're used to that being, oh, that's my spell damage, my cast speed on a totem. But it's not actually. That's weird that I'm summoning a totem that's not a summon. It's me.
Except like a reflection of yourself, right?
Yeah.
The old classic, the explanation of the differences between minions and totems and mines and traps in PoE is like minions are separate entities. Okay, they're their own beings.
Yeah.
But traps, mines, and totems, they're basically like you, putting something of yourself in place to do something for you. That's basically it, and it's so weird, the whole interaction of it. But I mean, it's just the design of it, I guess. Where are we on the document, by the way?
We were going to ask you about melee.
Oh shit!
Have you guys played a rich amount of melee?
Did you mark where we are? Because I'm kind of lost.
Wow, I always have to unmute myself twice. Have you guys played melee this league? We haven't talked about melee.
Mm-hmm.
Extensively.
I mean,
almost exclusively.
Has anyone played anything that wasn't Cyclone?
Yes.
I played Perforate.
Flicker. With Onigorochi.
Outside of Cyclone.
I played my first RF build. I had never done RF.
Okay.
I was like, Chieftain changes. Chieftain might be good at RF, and then I got
Chieftain is so
80
awesome.
And was like, ooh, RF is boring. I'm going to go make a Cyclone build.
It's
Did you fall asleep playing it?
Just wasn't my playstyle.
Yeah, that's my main concern with RF builds, that I might fall asleep and die.
Boring.
It's like
actually, it's fine. Just don't play it as a chieftain. You have to play it as a pathfinder or something. I don't know whether, something that goes zoom zoom.
What?
Just...
Okay.
What? Righteous Fire Pathfinder? I don't know whether it's a thing anymore. Probably it is. It still is. Plus, it's super powerful.
Righteous Fire is a snooze fest. That's why I don't like it.
It also probably performs really bad after, all the other damage over time got a buff by adding the damage over time multiplier, both non-ailment chaos and the cold, and fire didn't get another multiplier, and then they buffed all the rare and magic monsters, and now I tried a Righteous Fire build. I died really early on, so I wasn't able to give a full assessment, but...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, coming from someone like me who has played... Like, this is a couple of years ago, I had 2 years behind me of exclusively playing summoners where I couldn't fit all the active abilities I needed to use on the action bar to play a build that used move and a mobility skill when you got an edge. It's like, it's night and day. It was two different games. And that's why I prefer to play things like Eating Contagion. Well, now it's meta, so I haven't touched it this league, actually. Where it used two abilities, because I'd rather have like move, mobility, and a couple of skills that you use, which is what I really like last Epoch. Where in PoE, it's like you want to run, you want to use mobility, you want to hold down right click till they're dead. You want to hold down that magic button and don't really let go till everything's dead, and then you just move on to the next pack. And I don't really like that, because that again emphasizes on this what I consider really boring play style of any game, which is just a mega power creep clear speed meta, and I'm not a big fan of that in any game, to be honest. The endless grind. I'd rather have fun when I do it. But that's just me. Maybe RPG might not be my genre. I don't know. I'm in the wrong fucking game here.
Off to Fortnite. See ya.
Oh, what? Oh, no. Do I look... Is my beard wrong or something? Do I need to shave to look 12 years old? I don't play Fortnite.
Jeez, just admitted you're bad at it.
Off the mixer. Wow, I read the chat.
Just admit you can't keep up with the building meta in Fortnite. Just like me, you're too old for the actions per minute.
No. No. Fortnite is no. I would never be able to play that game ever.
I tried it. I was shit. I'm not good at clicking on people's heads.
I like BR games, I really do. But like, if I play a BR game, a shooter game, I'd rather see it more realistic, like PUBG, which I enjoy a lot. I just can't handle playing Fortnite. I don't know.
Right. So anyway, back to
Yep.
outside of Cyclone, because Cyclone is basically its own thing at this point. It's incredibly good and fun. But outside of that, how do the other Melee stuff actually feel now?
Mostly good. Mostly. I don't like the animation canceling, not being able to be decided on like toggling for certain things. Like, I want some abilities to never be able to be cancelled for some abilities. That goes for melee attacks as well, which is really, really
File
annoying.
versions.
Yeah, because you can lose out on a lot by misclicking, and I want to be able to toggle that off. If I click that, I want that shit to happen. That's like the only downside I really have. But other than that, melee has felt amazing. I've actually really enjoyed Flicker with the quality changes they did to it. Previously, it's just been very limited in how you can design it. And the Flicker I did, that I made a guide for, actually uses Onigorochi, which I really enjoyed. And that was fun. That was really fun because it wasn't the Oros, it wasn't the standard approach, and I did it as a chieftain instead, which was really fun as well. So it allows for more variety, which is something I really lack in PoE in many aspects. But having more variety for builds has been really fun, and I think that the melee changes really, really promoted that. If you exclude Cyclone,
Yeah. Because I've not been able to keep away from Cyclone. I've been doing as many different things as I could with Cyclone. Cast wild channels, cast on crits, normal Cyclone builds, fire Cyclone builds. I want to do a Sire Shard Cyclone build. It's just that everything is Cyclone. But I don't know. It feels fine.
Fair enough. What's your take on it, LeRoy?
What's up?
What's your take on it?
I think the melee changes are great. I don't like how much AoE Cyclone has. I think it's a bit too much. And I think that's part of the problem why everybody's just playing Cyclone. So I don't know what G's going to do anything, or if they're going to do anything about it for next league. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to really play anything else. I like summoner builds, so this wasn't really my league, but I really enjoyed. I had the character I got to 92 was a Cyclone champion, Impale. You know, you're run of the mill. It was great. It was fun, and then it wasn't, and then I stopped playing.
Did you consider Impale to be overpowered? As a developer for last Epoch, do you consider Impale as the mechanic as it is, as an overpowered mechanic, considering how little investment required for it?
I think that you don't interact with it. It's kind of like you just put points into it, and then it just drastically increases your damage. If it was something interactable, it might be less of an issue. But yeah, it almost feels like cheating just a little bit with how powerful it is. I like it. I like the idea of it. I enjoy the mechanic of it, but you don't really see it. Like, you're spinning through a pack and then it's gone. You spin through a pack and then it's gone. And you're like, well, I know that's because I have Impale, but you don't really, there's no indicators. There's nothing satisfying about speccing into Impale necessarily, other than, okay, I have 1 million DPS in POB, and now I know that's actually doing whatever. It's like 7 times. I don't know, whatever video, whoever figured that out. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I like, my biggest issue with it is that it's so strong with the little investment. And I made a video talking about that and called it the most broken mechanic in PoE in recent time. And I think the only thing that we got like really comes close to it in recent time has been like conversion stuffs and whatnot. The difference there is a conversion build still requires specific items to convert more. You need to invest in the tree to convert more, compared to spending, I think it was 7 points on the skill tree and then the 10% reservation aura. I mean, the differences are huge. And I would argue for conversion builds at least before the nerfs to the numeric values on mods, were drastically, it was much more overpowered. But the difference was the amount required to invest to get to that point, compared to what Impale is. Like you said, you expect a couple of points, have an aura, and you're done.
Yeah, I think the fact that Cyclone is so on top of everything right now is all these factors coming together, right? First of all, like, I think no one mentioned that, but that's in the document. Like, being able to move and deal damage is inherently OP in Path of Exile. Like, Winter Orb was good because of that. Auto Bombers are good because of that. Like, Static Strike is good because of that, even though it's clunky in theory, but you can work around it a little bit. But just being able to walk through the map and clear it at the same time, even if Cyclone drastically reduces your move speed, is just super strong. On top of that, Cyclone is one of the skills that benefits the most from Impale because of where you are in the tree, what you can fit into the build, and how fast you hit, because the faster hitting skills benefit a little bit faster from Impale than the slower ones. And then on top of that, Cyclone has that 2-factor multiplicative AoE scaling where you benefit both from radius and from increased AoE, which I believe no other skill has that in the game. But I think that's basically in a nutshell why Cyclone is where it is. And I hope it gets addressed next league, but I'm not sure because of the way that GGG likes to keep freshly buffed stuff around a little bit for new players to play around. And I have to say, it's awesome. As a league starter, it's great that Cyclone being so underwhelming and hard to build around for a long time, and now it's that go-to skill that you play in a fresh league, and it feels good right out of the box. When you get the gem in Act 3, you can directly kind of start playing it. It's not as good as other things to progress, but it's awesome. I think that's great for the feeling of the game, but I think it shouldn't scale that well into endgame, maybe, or like need a little bit more investment. And then I think the bigger factor for me, the animation canceling stuff, I think the game is not ready for it. Honestly, I after having played the league extensively, I think they just put in instant move skills and the animation canceling, and they changed a little bit around the early game. But I think the entire rest of the game is not built for it. I feel Uber Izaro and all the endgame boss encounters are significantly easier now that the movement skills don't have any wind-up time at all, and you get to instantly reposition. I've not taken a hit from Uber Izaro in like forever, because the moment he takes his slow swing, you just dash through him, and it works every time. Even if you do it in the last possible moment, in the last 100 milliseconds before he hits you, you'll never get hit. And I think they'll have to make significant changes around the game for that to feel good with the difficulty level of the game.
Yeah, I agree with it. I do agree. I also like to point out, and I do believe what you're saying as well, that the fact is that it is really, really good that these changes are coming in. It's just that the game needs to get on par with it. But yeah, I agree, absolutely. I just hope they're not going to buff enemy monster HP. That seems to be their go-to solution. Oh yeah, blue monsters and rares are now more HP, and bosses have twice as much HP. That's not the way to solve it, because we're in a situation right now where a white monster on a rippy map can one-shot you off screen that you don't see, because every build is like a disco ball fucking flying through a map, and most of the things that kills you is because you didn't see what the fuck hit you, because everything's blinking and shining and exploding on the screen. But I don't know. There's a lot of issues with the end game in PoE, in my opinion, that needs to be attended to personally.
So hopes to address that next league. I think that's a great transition that we caught there into what are we hoping for next league. I can already tell you, I hope that they apply the buff in a good way. That you saying that's not enough for you. I think that's exactly what the game needs. Just buff the monster life of unique monsters, make them actually harder to kill than rares. That's all I want for next league.
Yep.
Give them HP, make the game hard
I
again.
want whites as well. I want everything to get. Well,
Yeah,
what
I
I actually
understand
want
that
is
they
for us
didn't
to
buff
do
it
less
all.
damage, but it's essentially the same thing, except people don't cry about it if you give mobs more health instead of taking away my damage. It's the same thing, just that
destroyed
people
my
don't
tooltip.
cry as much.
Okay.
So I think
Okay.
everything needs more life, and it all dies way too quick.
trying to satisfy the Reddit meta here. Okay. No, I think that what I expect to see reworked is only numeric values. That's what I think will happen. I think that they will only look into numeric values. Maybe HP buffs on enemies, buffs and nerfs the abilities. I don't think they're going to do much for the next league. And I hope they're not going to do much for the next league, because I hope that they're putting all their investment into the 4.0 expansion. And I hope the 4.0 expansion will fix everything, which will never happen. But, one can only hope, right?
We've still
the
got
question, right?
minions and ranged. They rework spells, they rework melee. We've still got minions and ranged builds. There's no way they're leaving them off.
I mean, this is the first time in 6 years, or 5 to 6 years, that I will say that I don't think minions needs attention in PoE.
What?
The first time in 5 years. I don't think minions needs... There's a lot of things minions need, but
an AI that works?
Almost all of them are quality of life features at this point. I have bitched and moaned to both Rory and Vex and a couple of others, other developers at GGG for soon to be 5 years now about specific things. One of the main things have been AI. And the answer I got from Rory last time he responded to me about these things, he said, if we give summoners control over the AI, or make it better or more aggressive, whatever, it would make summoners too strong for the game. And I approached him with a thing, now that we have meta clear speed being so drastically insane that it wouldn't even matter if the minions were mega duper super duper aggressive, that would still not be able to compete with that. But the comment stays that they are, according to GGG, considered making summoners too strong. And I don't agree with that, but what I will say is that summoners have been in a great state for many years now, after the Spectre changes, actually. And they've not been the best at anything, but they've been really good at everything. Whereas many abilities and certain playstyles can be very good at bossing, but bad at clearing. Very good at clearing, very bad at bossing. Very good at surviving, very bad at surviving and whatnot. Whereas summoners have the possibility to be really good everywhere, but they're not the best at anything. But I agree. I'd like to see changes to it. I just don't think that's got to happen. And from what GGG has said, they think that summoners will be too strong if they give us like a minion attack button or a more aggressive specific minions, or the control. Like what I would like to see is Zombie Gem giving you two ways of summoning it, like a green action, not the color of the zombie, but the skill that you summon it with to be more defensive, and you can summon another one that could have a red color that would be more aggressive. I would love to see that being a thing in the game, but apparently that's making summoners too strong according to GGG.
Well, if they're going to be too strong, they could just nerf them numerically and give them more quality of life. That's what I told
him as well. And
I think we're going to see minion reworks and ranged reworks. I expect ranged reworks to come next.
Yeah,
league.
I agree. I think that bows will be attended to without a doubt.
Bows and wands. That's a thing.
I mean, we literally have 2 1 skills or 3 1 skills in the game since they reworked Elemental Hit to not work with wands anymore.
Wait, what?
Does it work with wands still, Elemental Hit? I'm pretty sure it does have the bow tag since they reworked it. It doesn't work with wands.
Everything.
What?
It works on wands.
Yep.
Works with everything.
It works with melee hits, bows, wands, penises.
Yeah. No, it literally has the bow tag on the gem. It doesn't work with wands anymore. It works with melee and with bows. You guys are shitting me. I've too many times have I let people talk shit and be silent on my podcast. It does have the bow skill. It does not work with the wand anymore.
It also has the attack modifier.
I'm positive it works.
Okay, I'll try it. I tried right afterwards. I'm pretty sure I had that conversation to some extent before, and I'm fairly certain it doesn't work anymore with wands.
If you give me 3 seconds, I'm about to verify this right now.
Test it.
I am on my way. Literally on my way.
But my point was that the skill diversity for wands is very limited, regardless of whether Elemental Hit works or not.
Yeah,
but it still is. Elemental Hit not working with it presses the issue more. You got Frenzy, you got Power Siphon, and you got Kinetic Blast.
Yeah, and Barrage.
Yeah, but that's not really a skill. I mean, yeah, I guess. You can do the volley thing. But
yeah, it's not. And we haven't seen new wand skills in... I don't actually remember seeing a new wand skill.
more than a few years.
Wonder why
I think
that
it's
is.
There's a picture of
Uh-huh.
me shooting with a one elemental hit. Sent to you in Discord.
yeah. I was positive that would still work. Yep.
Yeah, it's always worked. Always. But it has a bow tag, it has a tack tag, so it works with wands, melees, everything. I've never heard of it not working with it.
I don't know. You tried it. It works. Okay.
Yeah, sent you a picture of me
That's
shooting
weird.
with it.
Where did I get that then? But then I'm glad. I mean, I just knew that they added the bow tag, and I don't know where I got that. I was so sure.
So, Leroy, got any predictions? What do you think might happen next league? What do you think they might be looking at? Not that you could possibly have any insight more than the rest of us, but
They're swapping to Unreal Engine 4. I got nothing. There's probably going to be a lot of voice acting stuff coming in. They might be adding more of their story, lore, and world building into the actual game instead of like a PDF file on Reddit, which would be cool to like learn and understand more of what's
that
going
actually
on
would be really
in Ray
cool.
Class and Orith. So that's my hope, I guess.
That would be really cool, the lore stuff. I like the lore stuff when it's voiced over. But anytime where I have to like sit down and read a document, I lose all interest in your lore. I just don't care. I don't care
Yeah.
enough to sit down and read. It's not. Plenty of people do. I don't. If it's
I'd
not
love-
read to me, I'm just not going to learn it. That's it.
I'd love it if they doubled down on what they implemented,
just
where
has
if
to
you
be voiced.
clicked,
Otherwise,
if you
I'm just
click
not. Oh, see you. Gameplay it is.
You know, for me to play ARPG games has always been start music, preferably rock and roll and metal, and then I go grind. That's ARPGs for me. When I stream, I don't have music in game. I barely listen to it. All I want to hear is the effect, so I can know if there's loot, and I want to know if there's a DD, like whatever they call it, volatile debt VD. That's all I need to know. I don't want to listen to the music. Though I must say the music is really good in last Epoch, especially. Really, really, really good music there. Really, really good music. Like
What
the
do you
best
want?
I've ever heard.
What do you want from me, guys?
It's amazing. It's like it's so immersive. It's incredible. Okay, I think I'm done with that. So, but the music in PoE is really good as well. The music in PoE is really good as well. But I don't want to play with it. And I do the same thing in Last Epoch as well, because it's an ARPG game. I just don't listen to it. And I know that both the music you create for Last Epoch, LeRoy, is really good and is really immersive. I love it. And the same thing with Camel for Path of Exile. It's just that when I play ARPGs, I don't want to listen to the music in game. The only ARPG song that I really remember is Tristram. And that's because of nostalgia. Because I didn't have Spotify back then. That's like the only reason I actually listened to it.
I do wonder.
I did say Camel.
Slightly off topic, Leroy. Does it make you sad that I think most people turn off music in games?
You're going to be surprised by this, but I do the same thing. Like I have a PoE playlist on Spotify. I turn on my metal and I just go, even though the PoE soundtrack is absolutely amazing, astounding. Even Diablo 2, which has like the most iconic soundtrack in my opinion, like Chrono Trigger. Like those two are my top two, but like even in Diablo 2, I'll put a playlist on, and like I'll give a soundtrack a good listen, and then it's right to my metal playlist because I just want to zone out and I want to grind, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. Like
the only time I change it back is like decently scary like boss fights and things like that. Like I'll pause my music, turn game music back on, and get that I don't know, the ambience that they're going for with the boss fights where it's like intensive music, and I'm like, that's cool. Like every time I do Uber Elder now, I turn that up because it's cool, but then that's it. It's just music playing from Spotify or YouTube or whatever. I never.
Yeah. I'm not offended. My soundtrack is there to lend aid to the story that our awesome lore master has written. And, ARPGs, people are going to get that story once and they're going to play the game 100,000 times. I don't think anybody's like, you need to relive this story 100,000 times. It's just, I don't think anybody's realistically expecting that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think a big problem that I have with the music and why I switch it off is it's just super repetitive. And that's, I'd also listen to a lot more of the in-game lore if it was implemented better, if they doubled down on the idea that they had with the lore items throughout the story. There's one example in particular that I want to have. In the end of Act 4, when you go into Act 5, there's this Dominus High Templar letter to Captain Tavares. I always click that because I know it's going to play. It sounds amazing with the music. And then when you go through the portal, through the load screen, it keeps on talking. But when I go into town and some vendor tries to tell me something and I want to vendor my stuff, then he interrupts whatever he's talking. And I just want that stuff to continue. I love listening to the lore. I just don't want to interrupt my gameplay for it. That's my problem. And the same way is, I don't want to shape my gameplay around the way that music is played because I hate listening to the same track of the soundtrack, the first 30 seconds of it only, 30 to 40 seconds until I go into the next area. If it was a little bit more organic with a little bit more variation, and I wouldn't have to listen to, only the first 30, 40 seconds of each piece every time, because they're beautiful pieces, but it gets boring and repetitive.
I'm a big fan of music for many genres. Rock and roll metal is closest to my heart, but I love classic music. There are days when I'm working on YouTube or just playing games for me, sitting in front of my computer, where I just start classical music, and it could be anything from OSTs of games to old school actual classic piano music and orchestras and whatnot. I love listening to that shit. But as soon as I start a game, it's like, oh, I want my rock and roll metal music. Just want to have that shit. That relaxes me, okay? I want to listen to Whitechapel singing in a growling way about beheading someone. I love it. That's relaxing to me. That's what I want to listen to when I play games. But I don't know. I think everyone does this differently. But then again, if you play a game like an RPG game, like a pure RPG game, then the music is part of the immersion you get for the story, where it creates another layer of enjoyment of the game itself. Whereas in ARPG games, it's just repetitive grinding all the time, and I don't give a fuck about the music at that point.
I see how it is. That's why you were complimenting me before you went on this whole thing.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's absolutely it. Actually, I do have some of the snips that you sent me before, actually, on my computer.
It's okay. I'm not offended. Even my own music, I'm like, I've spent, the last 2 weeks writing this track. I'm done listening to it. Ugh.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. I do make some music hobby. It's not on the level that you do, and it's completely different direction. I'm experimenting with some synthwave and hip hop beats and all kinds of stuff. But after you're done producing it, you just completely lose all objectivity. You're just annoyed by every single bit of it. I mean, now there's always something you like, but it's just you can never listen to it with these virgin ears of someone who's never listened to your song before. And I show my music to other people and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, no, it's not. But they don't hear what I hear. So it's useless.
Most of the people knows that I used to be in a band before, or during the early stage of my stream. I used to growl for a band. I was a lead singer. And we made one single on YouTube. And creating music and whatnot. I know the deal with that, and it gets annoying listening to the same shit over and over, especially when you're rehearsing. It gets really boring after a while and repetitive, right? But after a year after it was done, it was nice to listen to it once or twice. But now I have this music event shit going on my stream every now and then, and there's this one or two guys in my community who they seem hell-bent on queuing that at least once every time. And now I'm just getting so tired of hearing my own voice in a song when I want to hear something else, right? So it's just so, when you hear it over and over and over again, doesn't matter if it's good or not. You get annoyed with it.
Quick, who was I just waving at?
That's LeRoy Robin wife.
Ah.
Hello.
She's real. The ring isn't just for show.
Oh. Oh shit. Wow.
Nice. Okay.
Really
maybe-
nice animation there, LeRoy. That's awesome.
I got a green screen back here, and I just
That's amazing, dude.
Well,
That's incredible.
Yeah, almost as if it was real. Bullshit. What I wanted to say, as we're going into the last part of the podcast, I'd like LeRoy to start that segment and give us the full last Epoch sales pitch. What can we expect from the next update? When can we expect it? And
At least what you're allowed to talk about.
yeah, and also talk a little bit about I think you said that to me, or someone said that, or one of your team said that on another podcast, that you're going for that synergistic schedule with the PoE schedule.
Yeah, we want to. I mean, it's like there's a couple companies that are trying to launch at the same time WoW Classic is happening. Pagan Online is doing a huge update the same day WoW Classic is happening.
Why would you do that?
Anyway, we're not going to do that. We want to be wise about how we, do our marketing, do our seasons, how we get our player base involved. And I think one of the things that when we started this, we wanted ARPGs 24/7. We all know PoE burnout happens. I tend to play Path of Diablo in my PoE burnout time, but I've been playing Diablo 2 since day one, and so I get burned out on D2 a lot faster. And so we want to slot in between the Path of Exile releases, so it's not like we're competing. We're not trying to split people. It's, hey, the burnout happens, month and a half, 2 months in, there's another thing to play. So because people are still craving ARPGs, I even see, you streamers, you go from like Path of Exile to Grim Dawn to Path of Diablo to Median XL to Titan Quest dropped a new expansion out of the blue, like Pagan Online to like all these other ones, and
So
just
basically
ARPGs
anything
are
except
the life.
Diablo.
Yeah, some people, I don't know whatever ARPG people are playing, at the time, and we want to just add to that and make this season cycle with the leagues and just be a year-round thing instead of having a half a year burnout.
No, I think this is really wise, and I really like the idea that you're not trying to split, and you're very cautious about that. So instead of becoming it's either Diablo or Path of Exile, it's instead, I'll play Path of Exile, and then when I get bored or once the hype's over, I go over to Last Epoch and play that, and then I can go back to Path of Exile when that's hyped up again for the next league. I think it's a really wise choice actually on your end. I really like that.
Thanks.
I don't understand why companies would intentionally try to compete exact release dates like that. Why would you? Like, you're inevitable, even if you're the objectively better and more popular of those two, you're still competing, and you're going to lose people that would have otherwise been at your launch of your new season or league or whatever it is.
But
When you could just
always
offset
competing
it.
with something.
Yeah, but why would you intentionally pick to compete in the more, like, in the time frame that's going to be the most competitive, when you could just be like, I'll just do that 3 weeks later when everyone's bored of Classic WoW, because that's about how long that's going to last.
I think some of it's a marketing standpoint, like riding the hype train, like, hey, there's eyes on the gaming market, there's eyes on the gaming industry right now, so there's more people drawn in. People probably hope that, hey, maybe they'll pick up this game too, while, the eyes are on the gaming industry at this point. And so sometimes a lot of companies will just push their marketing out at that point and just try and get out there and ride what other companies are doing. And I think there's validity to that. I just don't think it's something that we necessarily want to do on that level.
I definitely think your strategy is the better one. Like, it just is. I like the idea of being like, okay, I'm going to be, if this has already got, like, there's this 1 month in my exact genre where everyone's super hyped about this, I'm going to go in that second month when there's now 2 months where there's a huge area where people aren't that into it anymore, jump into that spot and be like, hey, now we've got something awesome, and everyone can be like, yep, let's go do this. That's a much better idea. It's a much better idea.
We do think smart good sometimes.
Sometimes. I like that.
There's actually a handful of questions that we can address really quickly that people want to know about Last Epoch. But first, I want to know: are you going to do more races in Last Epoch anytime soon? Is there some real big races coming up?
Ooh.
Like more than just one event, but maybe a series of events, so people actually have more incentive to practice and consecutively come back and improve their skill, their build, their progression.
Personally, I want to see more events. I love the Path of Exile racing. I love to doing all the descents, all the ends of sledge. I mean, I love doing those, so I want to bring more of that to Last Epoch. I think we learned a lot from this last race, and we want our client to be just in a much better spot for racing, so that we don't have a crash or people falling through the world and stuff like that. So we've been diligently working like crazy to just iron out a lot of these bugs, a lot of the performance issues. I think there's going to be a point where I'm more comfortable myself putting our races out there on our client, and that's probably not terribly far away. So I would expect to hear some race announcements in between some of the craziness, because this fall is an absolute like slaughter fest for game launches, and we want to navigate those waters well. So
Fair enough.
We did see a little teaser of the like client's graphical updates pretty recently. There was just a screenshot of an area the way it used to look and the way it will look after the next patch. It was posted somewhere, and it looks a lot better. Like I didn't really realize it looked bad because I was enjoying playing the game. But now that I've seen the side by side, like screenshot of the old and what it looks like in the new one, I'm like, wow, that looks so much better. Like it's actually really largely improved, more than I would have expected in the very limited time that it's been since then. Like,
expect more of that, and expect more performance too. I mean, people are concerned with, hey, your game's looking better, is there going to be performance hits? But some of the reason we haven't been able to do some of the better graphics is because we haven't had the optimization. And so the fact that we've been working on optimization so heavily has allowed us to continue to beautify the game.
I wonder if I can get away with linking that. I can. There it is.
We'll see
That was the sneak peek I just linked in chat that everyone got to see. It got posted a week ago, I think, or so. It's just the exact same area, and it looks quite
Jesus
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, our team is we're not getting much sleep right now, right before this patch. I mean, it's the whole game has gone through this process. Everything that we currently have in as content it's going through it.
Yeah, it looks that is huge. But what else?
I believe new areas are going to be, that's the standard for new content as well, is going to be what you're seeing.
So
nice.
The barrels look pretty round. I'm actually sure it's the same barrels, but just the lighting looks better, and maybe there's another layer or something. But
the barrels looks round. That's the best you got.
That's
thank you. You've paid me the highest compliments.
You've made round barrels.
Well, you know how round objects in games always are limited by polygons, and you have to work around as a dev. And here they do look round as well, but they look a little bit more like edgy, and of course the overall texture quality improvement is amazing. I'm trying to point out the not obvious, but yeah.
So it's not obvious the barrels are round.
The biggest thing is like lighting and textures, like you're seeing there.
Yeah.
Creating that atmosphere, creating that mood, and that's one of the biggest reasons we're continuing to do this. Is just we want to create the world and make it so you feel like you're in the world.
And that sort of thing, and making it look that much better, it's definitely going to help a lot of people. A lot of people care a lot about how good stuff looks. I never have. So while it looks great, gameplay has always been my thing. Like graphics are always a second thought to me. Just does it look pretty has never mattered.
I agree.
So the favorite,
to some degree.
The favorite thing so far has been, I really love the skill trees in this game. And now I'm wondering if you happen to know how many more skills we're going to be getting in this next patch.
That's a good one.
Ooh, I wonder if somebody
Even
on my
if you
team is
can't-
listening and can whisper.
Even if
it.
you can't name them all, or is there a rough number of how many of the missing skill trees we're going to get?
While I'm typing furiously to somebody. Let's see if they reply. I put it in caps lock too.
That is my 100% biggest thing. That's the only drawback I ever had playing last Epoch when I was back playing it, was when I went to go and do something and I'm like, oh no, these 3 things I was really excited about didn't have skill trees. It was like the only bad part. So that is like my number one thing I'm looking forward to, is skill trees for a bunch of skills that were missing.
I think the count is at 6 right now. So probably not as many as you were wanting, but still quite a bit. I don't think there's.
It's,
I don't remember.
I mean,
I don't remember how many are missing trees at the moment.
I don't
I'm
remember
not keeping
either,
track of these numbers at all.
But there was only like 1 or 2 classes were missing like a third of them, which was just enough. It was always just enough that there was like 1 or 2 abilities I couldn't use, and it wouldn't round out the full toolkit, and the character just didn't quite feel good. And it was just sort of like, you need just like 1 or 2 more skill trees in this class that I could use that skill from, and then it would be super good. It just didn't quite feel rounded out. So
we got
that's what I'm
Shatter
most excited
Strike,
about.
Bear Form, Rive, Reaper Form, Avalanche, and Shield Throw. Those are the 6.
Reaper form.
Oh,
Poggers!
Reform!
There we go.
Ooh,
We're gonna be able to play with
ooh.
fucking War Lich for once.
PogChamp.
That one, it
Oh.
already sort of worked without a skill tree too.
I need
like-
my fucking Reaper form, dude. Now I just need Defile and whatever the other harvest or ward generating ability on the
Okay.
Occultist or Acolyte, whatever.
Well, LeRoy just listed 6 new builds I want to try. Just
Glad to have
straight
you.
up, let's just
Reaper
go.
form is Bay. That's one of the
Oh, and
most
Transplant,
amazing.
which to me
Oh,
makes a Lich
yeah.
build in my opinion. And
Mhm.
Aura of Decay, so I lied. 8.
Aura of Decay.
Okay.
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
Lich.
A lot of
build,
Acolyte
really.
love this patch.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Holy shit, this is gonna be good.
That's amazing.
Aura of
I,
Decay. Oof.
I saw a handful of questions, and I quickly want to have them addressed if that's possible, because I think it's important that people know. The monetization model, is there there's no pay to win, I assume, and there's no plan of ever having anything that gives you an in-game advantage. But what do you get for buying the game or for buying more into the game? And can you acquire additional stash tabs? Is there like more storage space in some way coming?
So we won't have storage space issues. You'll have as much as you can shake a stick at between your characters. We won't make you pay for that or extra characters. Buying the game at different packs gives you certain cosmetic points. It's going to be MTX and pets. Those are our first 2. There will never be pay to win, ever. As long as I am with this company, as long as this original team is with this company, there will never be pay to win, and we don't plan on selling out. So, no pay to win, promise. And so it's really just purely cosmetic stuff. The pets look good, and they have little things that they do, but they don't like pick up currency for you or anything like that. And you're not going to have to worry about space, no storage stuff that you have to buy or character slots.
Oh, I know what I want. I want my own pets. You asked me what I wanted earlier. I want my own pet.
There's already a skeleton in the game named after you.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't found it yet.
What? You serious?
Mm-hmm. There's secret areas in the game that people haven't found yet, including people on the development team. I haven't found half the stuff that our level designers put in the game. You guys got to look harder.
You're
Wow.
not kidding me. There's a skeleton that I can access right now in LE that's named after me.
Themed after you. Let's go with that.
Themed. Okay.
Wow.
And I told you last year around this time when we were debuting our Necromancer that we had done that. I think you forgot.
Yeah, but I didn't think you were serious. I mean, I thought that was sugarcoating me or something.
I'm not the kind of sugarcoat, man. I give it to you straight.
Wow.
Wait, so you're saying that there were areas available right now that aren't known about.
Easter eggs.
I need to play LE tomorrow on stream.
I've been everywhere though. Well,
I
apparently
feel like
not.
You've been everywhere.
Clearly, I haven't been everywhere.
You know what I really like? Now that you just said LE, that reminds me of the movie Vanilla Sky, which is overall not that great a movie, but like the LE life extension, but at the same time it's homophone with a female first name, Ellie.
Yeah, I like Vanilla Sky. It's a good movie.
It's not as good as the original. That's what I'm saying. Like the original Abre
Okay.
los Ojos. But
Just
yeah.
is it weird that after all of the other stuff we just heard and the way better looks and all the extra skill trees, I've just lost interest in all of it, and now I just want to play immediately right now and try and find the hidden spot
I want to find
that I didn't know about.
I want to find
Maybe we need to have like a competition or hunt or something. I don't know.
A
Like, what
race
the
to
fuck?
the secret areas.
I don't know.
Do
I
you
don't even
Can
know.
I get some tips or like some hints of where the fuck?
Are they gated behind player
you've done
investigation, or like is there RNG involved?
Nope, no RNG because we don't have procedural generation throughout our content at the moment.
Yeah, it can't be RNG. Every map is the same, which means you just have to find it somehow.
I asked our level designer how many areas people haven't found yet.
Wow.
Somebody on the team just found one like 2 weeks ago, and like it's been in for since basically the start of Kickstarter, like whenever we did that launch last year.
Okay,
Did you
that's
get anything for
amazing.
finding them though? Like, is there any in-game rewards for finding them?
I mean,
Just
you get to see a new zone.
some new zone stuff.
All right.
You get lots
Well,
of
I know what I gotta
clickbait
do.
in your clips and YouTube videos.
I'm gonna have to host some sort of fucking hunt competition on my Discord or something. I need to find me in LE. Okay.
You get internet points. That's what you get, which is more than enough for me.
Yeah, I completely zoned out. I completely forgot the fact that Reperform's coming out, Defile, Transplant, and everything. I just want to find this skeleton. It's like that's all I want to do right now.
Well,
That's right. I'll do it while making new builds. I'll level slower. We'll go everywhere. We'll look at everything.
Yeah, every little
We'll find-
inch of everything.
Yeah.
you can do a
We'll look
challenge
for like
in your viewer
clickable
community.
rocks or
I think
anything.
destroy every
I think the
barrel.
skeleton's going to find you before you find it. Let's put it that way.
Oh, invasion boss. Kappa. No.
So it's an enemy? Come on, man.
That's all you're getting apparently.
If you play a
One
mini
more
build,
quick
I won't be able to see
clarification. I think that hasn't been said, but people asked about it. If you buy Last Epoch, you'll always own it. You don't have to buy it again after the beta ends. You don't buy into beta access and then you buy the full price game.
No, absolutely not. No, this is the $35 to buy in to the early access right now. It gets you all the cosmetic points, the exclusive pets, and it gets you the base game. You don't have to buy it again. Content and expansions are free after the initial buy-in. We're depending and counting on our community to support us with MTX so that we can continue to make this stuff free after that initial $35 or in a year $15 investment.
That's super awesome. I really like that approach. I've always looked at Path of Exile being kind of pay to play anyway, and I'd much rather have it because it sounds more honest if they make it pay to play. So I think that's a more honest approach without wanting to criticize GGG, but because it's awesome. If you get to market your game as free to play, you'll obviously attract a lot more audience potentially. But I really also like the approach of being like, hey, you pay for this, but then it's fair. You'll never pay again, and yeah, that's awesome. I believe we're running out of time. I think Ghazzy had one big announcement to make that you wanted to make, and then we have to take the stream down.
Yeah. So I've been telling people that I got some big things coming up starting from Monday on my stream, and Kat asked if I wanted to do the announcement here on the podcast. So here we are. Basically, it's kind of inspired from the podcast me and Kat has with Dropaduski with Behind the Streams, which let's not plug that shamelessly. Sorry, but yeah,
plug it. But
we do that every 2 to 3 weeks, and we talk about things that are helpful for new streamers and new and upcoming streamers or people that want to start streaming. and we talked about choosing games to stream this Friday. It was yesterday, and scheduling this. And that's something I've been trying to incorporate in my own stream because I played Path of Exile for the last 5 to 6 years. And what I wanted to do is to incorporate something to do outside of Path of Exile as well on a more consistent basis, because the value behind consistency is, you can't beat consistency. That's the number one thing as a streamer anywhere, or content creator pretty much everywhere. So what I'm going to try to do is on Monday, I'm going to try to set my stream up with my schedule to be on a 2 stream sessions on the days that I'm streaming, apart from the weekend. So basically, I'll be having I'll have a early day stream where I will do something, and then then I'll have a break of 1 or 2 hours and get some food and whatnot, and then I'll do another stream session on the afternoon till late evening. So basically, I'll have 2 different stream sessions. And what I wanted to do with that type of schedule is allow me to have potentially play another game on one of the sessions. And since I mainly play Path of Exile on my current schedule is afternoons, I'll be playing Path of Exile on my regular schedule, and I'll play another game on the early schedule, unless it's really hype. In which case, I'll play PvE on both stream sessions. That's kind of the idea that I wanted to try to do with the stream. I'm going to try to start with that on Monday, if everything goes as planned. So that's like the little big announcement I have on what I'm going to do with my stream and my community, at least. So that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's a really cool idea, because like we said on the podcast yesterday, it gives you the opportunity to branch out without alienating your core audience, because you'll still be there whenever they're used to, and you'll still be playing what they're used to, but you're just in a different time slot. You're playing something else. That's awesome.
No, it's going to be fun. Let's see how it goes. I think it could be good, especially when it comes to the geographics of where viewers are from and whatnot with time zones. Like the core base of my followers are able to watch me on my current schedule, so me streaming something else on the early session won't interrupt with the viewers that follows me for the regular schedule, the regular content, so to say.
That's awesome. Does anyone else have any closing announcement, remarks, or anything? I for my part, I just want to say I'm hyped to play Last Epoch. I might go for a similar approach because I really can't seem to get enough of Path of Exile, probably because I died so many times early league, so I feel like I have to catch up. I'm probably going to play until the league ends. But I definitely am looking forward to checking out Last Epoch, revisiting that, and doing all the stuff that I haven't done, because I stuck with I didn't even try all the classes available yet. I've been keeping myself, I've been saving my excitement for the real deal. It's like saving yourself for marriage. Balor, what are you going to get to?
Well, first I had one more question that I know you can't give an exact answer on already, but how long are we waiting before this new patch hits? I know it's soon-ish. Do we have a rough idea? Like, are we looking in the next few weeks, or in the next month or 2 months, or like when are we looking roughly of being able to play this new update?
Pick a date in August, and I'll tell you if you're hot or cold.
Can we all three pick a date?
Yes.
Fowler, go.
19th.
Lukewarm.
10th.
Hot.
Cat, don't fail us.
This is pretty hot.
Wait. What date is 10th of August?
11th?
No, that's a Sunday. That's a Sunday.
That's a Sunday.
I'm not going to tell you the exact day. I'll tell you can get roughly in. It's in August.
I think hot is already as good as it gets.
If you can get inside my head, and you can think about if you go to game launches and look what's launching between PoE races, WoW Classic, like when do you think the best time for us to drop a patch is going to be?
Yes, on the 5th.
That would literally, we'd know about that because that would be tomorrow.
Oh shit, it's the 3rd.
Just stay tuned into our social media for the next 2 weeks here. Let's just put it that way.
2 weeks? The 10th is in 1 week.
Do you want to do you want to listen?
He's trying to stay in the rough area.
I don't want to get in trouble. My boss is listening.
Don't
Yeah,
distract from the
19 was
intention. The intention
lukewarm.
here was like, don't forget to follow Last Epoch on Twitter and list that in the. Can you post the Twitter link in the chat, please? Gazzy's very hot
Yes,
always.
oh wow. Was that you, LeRoy?
Wait, what?
Are
No,
you typing to me in the Catmaster's channel?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry.
This is the final boss.
It's okay. You got only 5
wow.
seconds timeout. What? Garf also? Wow. Wait, I'm not. What?
You timed out my boss. Now you're in trouble.
Wow.
I didn't time it out. It's you guys are posting faster than I can mod you. So LeRoy, you're VIP now. You can post anything without the mod.
All right.
Oh, it even has a language in there. Yeah. So everyone got the closing remarks. LeRoy, you have the last word.
Oh man, I don't know what to say. What do you guys usually say at the end of it?
Thank you guys for joining. It was awesome having you on the podcast. It was great to get the developer's point of view and to hear some new things about the, desperately awaited Last Epoch update, even though you couldn't go into the specifics, but definitely kind of was the right amount to just feed me a little bit to get like an appetizer, And, thank you for coming on, and to all of those who just joined in during the podcast, this will be on the YouTube.
What he said.
Oh, that was really nice, LeRoy. Jesus Christ, you've done this right.
You're welcome. I rehearsed it and everything.
Also, if everyone could start hunting secret areas in Last Epoch that we haven't found yet, that would be great.
I'll
Because
tell
I
you
need
one
to know where all of
Exalted
them are.
for pictures of it.
I'll be impressed if anybody
That's
finds it.
RMT, report Gazzy.
I might give a corrupted headhunter for a video of it.
I'm gonna go take a video of it.
Is that RMT? I might actually not be allowed to do that, actually.
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to do that. I'm sorry, guys. You can't get my headhunter. I would, though. I'm not joking. I would. For a video of it, I would have.
Awesome. Well, again, seriously, everyone, LeRoy, Gazzy, thank you guys for joining. Balor, thanks for the hard work you put into setting up the topics and acquiring the guests or contacting the guests. And next Fated Connections will be announced. Follow us on the media, on the Twitter. Check in our 2-hour streams and annoy us. Hey, Balor, hey, Cat, when you doing the next Fated? It's been 2 weeks. Kick our asses. And thank you guys all for watching, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was fun. Ballard, do you want to stream, or
Oh, Lord, no, I want to go back to bed.
breakfast?
Okay, I'm going to get a towel to wipe off the pee off my chair.
Yeah, you guys, I'm actually surprised that you guys didn't both, synchronize, jump up, and run to the bathroom. You have a lot of
Because it was only
discipline.
30 minutes. So I didn't want to run away since I was limited in time.
Yeah,
Thanks for
that's
the
great.
invitation. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming and taking that much time.
LeRoy, I'm gonna need some footages. And I'm gonna need some hints. What do you want?
I'm pretty sure the hint he gave you is already too big.
It said it was RNG gated. I don't even know where to start looking, and then it's RNG gated on top of that. Where the fuck am I gonna find that reliably?
Not only do I know where to start looking, I'm like 80% sure I know exactly what zone to look in.
Are you
And
gonna
you
hook me up
should
with
too.
a
See,
clip?
you're looking in zones, and that's where you failed already.
Shit
what?
balls.
It's in
Okay,
town?
what? Well,
It's in a
town is a
town?
zone too.
I got the game. Hold on. I need to go to the toilet, and I got stuff to do.
I also, and my fries and my burger are cold.
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
I
they
gotta-
arrived.
I just got some. I got fries and a burger here too.
They arrived 20 minutes too early.
It's midnight here. No, 11:30.
I'm trying to come up with a way to give you a hint that doesn't like 100% give it away.
It's in a city.
You can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere in the game. You have to be a certain class.
You can do it anywhere
Wait,
in
what?
the game.
It's a skeleton. It's one of our minions.
He's got a really good poker face.
Yeah. I
Look
don't want to
at
play
a
Texas
great
Hold'em
poker
against you.
You
face.
think you do
It
it with
just-
a specific class. Wait, does that
But
mean
look at him, he's not giving anything.
No. Okay, no, I got it. Summon skeleton. One of the fucking skeletons will have a pirate outfit. It's RNG based because you have to summon the skeletons. I swear to God, one of the skeletons is directly themed as a skeletal pirate. There we go.
Yep.
Got it. That's fucking amazing, dude.
I told you I would do it last year. It's no secret. Anybody that goes back and watches stuff from you and me last year knows that.
I know, but I know you mentioned it. I was like, I haven't forgotten about it, but I didn't really think you were going to actually pull it off.
If I say I'm going to do something, man, I'm going to do it. I'm not.
That's amazing.
I own part of the company. I can go into the game and put things in if I want to. I know I do the music stuff, but I have a very heavy hand in design, man.
Can you make him have like a cape? Does he have a cape?
I haven't seen it.
Is there
He only
Easter
knows
eggs
that
in
it
your music?
exists.
It's like
I
a
gotta get onto
0.0001% chance to summon it. Like, it's pretty rare.
No.
No, so like the wolves have their own names. Like the skeletons can come up special sometimes. Like some of the other things we're planning can do the same thing. Like, you'll see.
Oh, fuck you, cat. I haven't eaten, and all the shit that has decent deliveries are closed.
I'm gonna go cook breakfast and then go back to bed.
You guys.
Oh, wait, so I can't host you?
No,
All right,
I'm not.
I gotta
I'm
run to
live
the
for
toilet.
hours.
Thanks again
Yeah.
for
On
the.
stream. So
Thanks again, boys.
Yeah,
We're
it was
actually
awesome.
still live on the.
Yep.
We're still live.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I didn't say we were not live anymore. I'm sorry. I should have been clear about that.
We're still live, and I'm being.
I'm an idiot. I didn't know
got
you guys would know. Oh, God. Well, do you think I
Fucking hell.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to brief more correctly about that because you guys have to be aware. That's why I said in the beginning we're live from the beginning. I'm
Live
sorry.
from the
I'm sorry
beginning.
for the misconception. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about the fact. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't
Just
even
gotta
think about the
make
fact that you could think that we went offline. I should have
Go
said,
on.
and that's what I normally do.
Now.
Yeah, Leroy's never going to come back here.
Can't make my mortgage payment.
Yeah. Bankrupt.
Last Epoch, Gate 2019.
That was so good. I had no idea we were live. I was just about to shut things down, and then
What?
oh my
I
fuck!
didn't even. I've still got it up on a screen.
Yeah, most people
And
have it
like-
up on the
I'm
screen.
looking at
and
you
look
guys, and the stream is right below. I didn't even notice.
I have it up on a screen.
Hey, it's a lesson for
I
me.
didn't look over.
I'm happy that you guys didn't
Good.
leak any social security numbers or something like that. The stuff that we normally share with each other after stream, right? And
You should have
Well,
gotten
you've all got
monologuing
a-
about the secret
the
area.
nudes,
You might
the
have gotten
dick
it out
pics.
of me.
Holy shit! That's a sneaky strategy, Cat. I like that. Well done, dude. Well done.
It's only going to work once. One time.
Yeah, you're out
I'm
of
seriously,
shots right
I'm gonna take care to brief people exactly and to say this is where end the VOD. We're still live, by the way, so don't leak anything that is essential information for your company to work. But
Holy shit!
I mean, all the information we got there has only made me want to play it even more. Like right immediately. Like I'm now like, do I wait for the patch or do I just go and start playing with things
trust me,
right now?
So
or-
much is fixed for this patch. Like you're gonna, it's not like walking into a new game, but it kind of is a little bit in some aspects. So it feels so good to play it right now.
I need to
It's in the
summon my
best state it's
skeleton. That's just all there is. I need to summon my skeleton.
Guys, he's just only playing skeleton builds from now on until it happens. That's it. Just
I'm just gonna sit in town until he spawns. That's
can you,
all I'm
can you
gonna
turn
do.
it? Can you turn it off specifically for his account?
Yeah.
And then just not tell him? Because that would be hilarious. People will eventually start linking him. Be like, I found it. And Gassy will be like, God damn it, I can't get it. No. That'd be great.
Oh no, he's got a sword.
all right, yeah, I really need to
All
pee
right,
and
I'll be
eat,
back,
guys.
guys. I'm just taking a quick trip to Australia. I'll be back in soon. I'll see you guys
Few
later,
days.
boys. Thanks again for the few days. I'll be back tomorrow tomorrow, boys, on the stream. You guys have a good night. Thanks again for the invitation, boys.
Okay, this time for real. We're gonna finish the stream now. I'm gonna host Seth. You guys give Seth a warm welcome, and I'll see you all
Seth.
tomorrow for the stream. Bye bye. Thanks for joining.
See ya.
Thanks.